What's up, everybody? Welcome back into TK Wrestling, and we are here with our WrestleMania prediction show. Matt, we were just complaining not too long ago that it felt like it was taking too long to get to
Now
WrestleMania,
it's here.
and now it happens the same way every single year. Every single year, we feel like it's taking too long, and then we wake up 2 nights before, and we're like, oh, "Shit, it's WrestleMania season. It's
Dude, it
WrestleMania week."
snuck up. It snuck
Yeah.
up, man. It did.
Yeah, so unfortunately, as you know, Matt, birthday just passed, our birthday weekend coming up this weekend. I won't be watching night one on night one. I might pop it on my phone just to watch while we're doing the festivities and stuff. But um, WrestleMania Sunday will be my big wrestling day. I already told my wife I'm waking up. I'm going to
You
start
doing
watching
double
WrestleMania.
duty?
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm going to watch probably 12 hours of wrestling in one day. That'll be pretty fun. But yeah, so very excited for WrestleMania this weekend. WrestleMania has always been around my birthday, but since they've moved it back, now I'm waiting for my birthday to be on WrestleMania one of these years. And so yeah, it's nice to have it the weekend of. I just maybe wish it was the weekend before, so that way I could maybe watch both weekends since it's a 2 night affair now. But yeah, Matt, WrestleMania weekend is finally here. We've got a whole lot of matches to talk about. That's all we're going to really do today. We're not going to talk in depth about the Monday Night Raws and the SmackDowns that have led up to this so far. We might talk about some stuff here and there because I definitely want to talk about that Obafemi promo that he dropped this past Monday night. Because maybe one of the better promos I've heard from a guy, probably in a good bit, man. He spoke with such confidence and said a lot of stuff that was very true. But we'll dive more into that later. Matt, how you feeling for WrestleMania week?
Dude, I don't know. Mixed because this lead up, yeah, talk about the Oba match, I'm pumped for that. But some of these I think I'm excited. But as we go through, hopefully I build up some excitement because it hasn't been the best build so far, in a lot of these matches. Or some of them, like the whole Punk and Roman one. I mean, it felt like the build started hot, and then Raw on Monday. I fell asleep. It was like that
Yeah,
was yeah.
and we can
So
talk more about the Punk and Roman promo as well whenever we get to their match. Wasn't as big of a fan of their promo as I was of Oba's, so just give you a little
no,
context there. But
just real quick, their promo was one of those like, I hate you because I like you so much. I hate you because I like you so much. And then I'm like, what are we doing here,
I
guys?
hate you because in a way I envy you, and it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
what happened to this? Is something that you do after WrestleMania, after the match is done. When the battlefield has cleared, then you can show respects. But you just talked about his dead dad a few weeks ago. Like Punk, for whatever reason, takes it very seriously. But like this dude called you old, and that really pissed you off. You power bombed him through a table. The cousins got involved, and now all of a sudden you're both just like, yeah, I mean, I hate you, but like I hate you because in a way I wish I was you. Like, what are we doing, man?
Yeah, no, it took everything to this. When this started a month and a half ago, whatever it was, that was some of the best promo work. And then it's kind of, like I said, I mean, one of the things I said back then, I think we both said, was that did it get too hot too fast? And I think it kind of did, and then you throw in all this other TKO stuff that got brought in with Pat McAfee kind of muddying the waters and changing the focus. So even one of Punk's promos was kind of more about McAfee or more about TKO than it was about Roman. Look, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, but yeah, look, WrestleMania is here. I hope to God after all this that this is going to be an incredible show. We have 2 nights of some fantastic matches on paper. If you told me this was WrestleMania, and I didn't know anything about the lead-ins or any of that, I'd be like, this is awesome. This is going to be awesome. So it's going to be awesome, right?
Well, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it. But before we do, make sure you hit that like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you go check out all the socials. Drop in the comments which match you're most excited for. And then when we're on the other side of this, after we've done our predictions, tell us which one you disagree and agree with the most. Who do you think got the most right at the end? Do a friendly little tally. I don't know. Sometimes we like to like compete against each other, but with so many matches, we're just going to break it down and kind of give our predictions and whatever, but it'll be so much to break down that we're just gonna we're just going to do our chattering. So, Matt, jumping into WrestleMania 42, night one, Saturday night. We already have our two matches that we know will open up the show, and we know which one will open up the night as a whole, and that's going to be Logan Paul, Austin Theory, and I Show Speed going up against the Usos and LA Knight. Yeah.
Yeah.
And look, man, I gotta ask, obviously, for your prediction, but to me, this kind of feels like a reset for all of these guys.
Okay. All right.
It feels like on the other side of this, if past WrestleMania, we still have the Usos and the Vision and LA Knight and the Vision kind of like intertwined with each other, it feels like maybe we're risking going too far with it. Like, I feel like WrestleMania needs to be the finish of this rivalry as a whole. I think the Vision need to go on and defend their tag titles. I think the Usos got whatever's coming with the Bloodline situation coming up soon. And I think LA Knight just needs to be done with division. And I think unless we're doing like a night against the Usos or one of the Usos, if that somehow breaks down, I don't know. This feels to me like a reset point. I feel like everybody needs to take this as an opportunity to go their separate ways after WrestleMania. So Matt, tell me what you think and tell me who you got.
Uh, I've got the Vision winning, and I've got major fallout with the Usos and LA Knight afterwards. Like, just I I don't know. I mean, like, look at the Usos, right? We don't know what they came out with, like a new theme song like 2 weeks ago. Then they came out on Raw this past week with Jay's theme song. Only instead it's just us Us, instead it's just
Yeah.
me. So I I don't know. I don't know if they're trying to keep the Usos together or not. I feel like they work well as a tag, but at the same time, we've talked about how much um Jay going kind of villain-esque is appealing, you know. So I kind of see it being this match that ends up culminating that look, even though LA Knight's tagging with the Usos, they're rarely on the same page, I feel like, So I can see a lot of miscommunication, a lot of whatever. We got I Show Speed in there. He's probably gonna cause some shenanigans that he probably saves the Vision from getting pinned at one point on accident. But yeah, I see the Vision taking this. I see a bunch of weird chemistry coming out of it with the Usos and LA Knight. And I don't know where LA Knight goes, dude. Like, that's the only one I'm really worried about. We kind of know what the Vision's doing. If the Usos keep tagging, they keep tagging, and that works. Or if they both go their separate ways, that could work. For the longest time, we have no idea what LA Knight's going to do. Like, we thought LA Knight was going to be going up against Brock Lesnar at one point, for WWE WrestleMania. So I just don't know. Like, if it's a hard reset for LA Knight, I don't know where he goes. I've liked this LA Knight who's been kicked. Like I said, I've loved the Punisher LA Knight kind of that we've gotten for like the past 4 months. I would like to see that continue. I don't know what's going to happen like with Seth Rollins in terms of the Vision, like him going after the Vision after WrestleMania, if that's going to be. So I think this match, even though it's not at all tied in at all with the Seth Rollins Gunther match, I feel like both these matches are two that we're going to see that Venn diagram, kind of come together on Monday Night Raw after. But I don't know, Casey. I mean, you think it's a hard reset. So what do you got? What do you got these guys doing next? Or do you have an idea for where they go, or you just think this is just over and that's the main part of it?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure where everyone would go, especially since a lot of that would probably be dependent on the rest of the weekend. But I mean, look, the tag division on Monday Night Raw has a lot of options that you could throw the division up against. They don't have to lose those titles immediately, but you could have them go up against, legitimate guys in that division. Have them go up against the War Raiders. Have them go up against Otis and Tozawa. Have them go up against guys like that.
So does that mean that you've got the Vision winning as well?
I mean, not necessarily because the titles aren't on the line.
All
So
right,
that wouldn't be, that wouldn't change anything.
right. I'm just
But
curious if that meant, I mean, it's weird. It's always weird when it's a non-title match, with guys who have titles, So
yeah. Well, I could, again, I feel like this is very dependent on a lot of things that would happen this weekend. But if you really want my opinion, I really feel like the Usos and LA Knight actually pick up the win. I feel like we're going opposite here right off the rip. I feel like they, especially LA Knight, kind of needs the win more. The Vision are in a weird situation where they've lost a lot of their leadership. Even Paul Heyman's not really running with them right now. And then I Show Speed, that whole situation just lends itself to like not work out in the Vision's favor, especially since they've taken advantage of Speed since they brought him around and then manipulated him into thinking that he has no friends and they're the only ones that can protect him. I could see Speed maybe doing something in the match that cost the Vision the match against them. And then we have a celebration of on all four corners, it's the Usos, LA Knight, and I Show Speed all celebrating and yeeting together at the end of the first match to get the weekend off hype. So yeah, give me the Usos and LA Knight to pick up the win. But my last question about this match before we move on, has Speed been one of the better like celebrity involvements as of late? Because in a world where we're begging to not have celebrity involvement like Pat McAfee and Pat and Jelly Roll, in that storyline, I feel like that's just because of the situation. Randy and Cody have so much history. It doesn't need the celebrity involvement. But in a situation like this, it's been really fun. And not only that, but Speed has embraced the role. He had LA Knight attack him on stream. These vignettes that they've shown where Speed is kind of accepting his role that he has to now take on as a quote unquote member of the Vision and seeing him training. I don't know. I feel like, and also look, dude, he's just an excellent shape, and that spear that he took from Braun Breaker at the Royal Rumble last year, just like I don't know if you could pay me to take that spear from Braun Breaker, much less go out there and do it just cause. So look, I got a lot of respect for Speed in terms of like what he does and like traveling the world and showing other cultures, but also like the respect. He's funny, but he's shown a lot of respect to the business, and I can appreciate that. So that was my big question. What do you think about Speed and his involvement that he's had in WWE so far?
See, for me, it might be a little unfair because I am not as familiar with I Show Speed outside of WWE. I've seen him on like a couple of Mr. Beast things. I don't follow his his YouTube or Instagram or anything like that. So I don't know, straight up. And I I think it's not necessarily that Pat McAfee and Jelly Roll are bad. It's it's the way that it's gotten normalized for those two. Like I like Jelly Roll at first. I like Jelly Roll coming out there, but then it felt like Jelly Roll. What are you joining the roster? Like like there was like a one Raw episode I think or one SmackDown episode where like he was in like 4 or 5 bits between Cody and Randy and Cody and Randy at the same time or whatever. So that it's more just and then look, man, and McAfee, I don't know how to feel about him. Like, McAfee is maybe the most interesting, right? Like, he came out there, and if there's one guy who's making me like Cody again and don't like Randy, it's Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee is making Randy a heel for me. He's doing everything. As much as I hate McAfee out there, he is doing what he's supposed to do, I feel like. I am shocked he's doing it in what he has like a real business. He's got his own side thing, and he could be jeopardizing that by these things. So that's more the shocking thing for me. It's like this feels like an up for I Show Speed. It feels like nobody who listens to Jelly Roll music probably doesn't already enjoy like nobody's thinking Jelly Roll's any less or more for WWE. But Pat's being like the most unpopular person on WWE right now, we could argue. And he's got his multi-million-dollar podcasting, whatever, ESPN contract. It's crazy because I feel like he more than anybody else is putting his career on the line.
Matt, you're diving really heavy into the night one main event while we're still talking about the opening match here.
Oh, I didn't do that. I'm just talking about celebrities, though. My fault.
For sure, but that's the thing. Jelly Roll and Pat McAfee are such big aspects of that main event that you're showing your cards a little early. Is all I'm saying.
I guess I'm shocked because the only thing I talked about, like when I saw Pat McAfee badmouth the hell out of everything, I'm like, dude, if you get this much hate, like it affects your listenership, I would think maybe, for the podcast. So I guess I was just that was kind of the one impressive thing. I like Pat McAfee doesn't give a shit. Like he's willing to put his listenership maybe on the line, because I don't want to listen to Pat McAfee right now. I don't want to turn on his ESPN show. I'm not nearly as interested, especially now that says he's doing the kayfabe on the show too. That's the other. It's just nuts, man. I don't know. But that said, I love what I Show Speed has done. I think it's perfect because he's the reluctant joiner. Like I said, versus the other two, I feel like are in it and want to be there. Don't get me wrong, Speed wants to be there, but it feels like Speed's always accidentally involved. And that's what I kind of really enjoy is his accidental involvement, the way he plays it off. So yes, right now I would say I Show Speed is the better of the celebrity involvements, but I'm not gonna, hate on the other two too much.
No,
But yeah,
no. Let me make that clear. I think that Pat and Jelly Roll have their place in the WWE universe. I just don't think it's in the main event of WrestleMania with 20 years of
no, no,
history to
look,
back the
yeah,
story. Is all I'm saying. But yeah,
but I mean, Pat, like I said, if Pat didn't make you cheer for Cody for the first time in a while, if you hadn't cheered for Cody, I'd be surprised because I feel like
for sure, but I guess I could get behind it more if that were the plan for Pat. Like if they knew by planting Pat in, and that's probably what they're going to say they did. Well, we
right.
knew he was going to get the heat, but you didn't. You thought it was a good idea, and the crowd shit on it, and now you guys are like, well, look, see, that was the plan. He's a heel. You're supposed to hate him, and it's like, no, that's not why you threw him in. But yeah, I digress. All right. Match two of the first night of the first hour, which will be broadcast on ESPN instead of just ESPN Premium, is Jacob Fatu versus Drew McIntyre in an unsanctioned match. Even though by technicalities, this is not an unsanctioned match because that would have to be, declared on the spot. Anyways, look, we already know that Drew is leaving to go film Highlander. Is that what it is?
Highlander,
Yeah, so we
there
already
can
know
be
he's
only
leaving to go
one.
film that. There you go. We know he's leaving to film that. Doesn't necessarily mean that he has to lose. Look, I got to be honest with you, Matt. I obviously want to see like blood. I want to see some big spots here. I don't know how much they're going to do considering this is on quote unquote free TV on ESPN. I don't know how much they're willing to broadcast on air in terms of violence. But Drew leaving doesn't necessarily mean that he has to lose. I mean, wrestling math might tell us that, but with this being an unsanctioned match, I just wouldn't be shocked if we see a situation where both men end up unresponsive and not able to continue the match. And we can write both men off of TV for a while, let Jacob breathe, and let the main event scene of SmackDown kind of air out after WrestleMania so we have more of a clear vision on who we have going forward. And then you can maybe do that whole Jacob and Randy storyline if you decide to go with Randy as the attacker. Drew can be off of TV for a while to go film the show, give both guys a break, but I think you could sell it in a way where this match is so brutal maybe they take like a high fall onto something.
That was actually be one of my questions for you. How high do they fall from? Because at some
God,
point,
15 to 20 feet at
yeah,
least.
like,
Yeah.
it seems like every time they meet up, there's some grand epic fall between the two of them, or one of them
Yeah.
at least.
Drew
You
likes to
know,
take. I mean, I'm sure he doesn't like it. I'm sure his body's beat up, but Drew takes a lot of falls in big matches like that. So, I mean, you remember the one he took with Damian Priest last year,
yeah,
and he whacked his head pretty hard on that one. So, look in his match. That's Hell in a Cell match that Drew was just talking about recently on the Chris Van Vliet show. He fell like 15 feet off the side of the cage, like flat backed onto the table. So, they're not scared to take these spots, and we know Jacob's not. So, look, I want to see a situation where neither guy wins, neither guy loses. We just have to let's stretcher both of them out because they just beat the absolute hell out of each other. And now you got this big, excitement of the baby faces winning the opening match with Aisha Speed celebrating with them. Now you got everybody hyped up for the first, after the first hour of WrestleMania. You could send them over to ESPN Premium and everybody's ready to go. So if you're really going to force me to pick somebody here, I'm going to go Jacob Fatu. But I really want to see a situation where both guys just like can't respond. Maybe they even like flip each other the double bird on the way out on the stretchers. I don't know. But yeah, I just want it to be brutal, dude. I want it to be brutal.
what if they end hugging each other and they're like, you're so good too."
That would probably be the fastest way to get me not to tune into the rest of it on
Uh,
ESPN Premium.
Look, I got Fatu here. Okay, here's another question. Since it's on ESPN, do you think it's going to be commercial free? Or are we going to get like a commercial break, like right in the middle of these guys, like brawling
That's
in the
a
middle of
good question. I hadn't considered that. I would like to assume that if WWE was smart, which, hey, whatever, I'll throw my hands up on
right,
that.
right. Yeah.
I say you do your intro. Maybe you can do a quick commercial break after you do like your opening, like the first 10 or 15 minutes, you're opening up the show, getting everybody ready. Do a quick commercial break, like 2 minutes. I think you have your first match. You have like a 5-minute commercial break after your first match,
Right.
and
Yeah.
then do your second match and just do it
You
all the
know,
way through.
commercials in between matches, perfectly fine. I'm fine with that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
All right. So yeah,
I
no,
hope not, but that's something I actually hadn't thought about until you just brought it up.
So give me Fatu to win, but give me like I don't like I really if Randy wasn't in the main event, like I'd be like, and give me Randy to come out afterwards and punt him in the face, after he wins. So give me like Solo to come out after he wins. Cause I
Mm,
mean, I think one of these crazy things is you hear that Solo ain't been on a WrestleMania in like he's never had a match or something like that. He's never had a WrestleMania. He's always like a guy who, if he does, he comes in like this. I don't know. I feel like Jacob wins, but then somebody hits him. You know, I don't know who it is. It's not Solo. It's not Randy, but I feel like somebody hits him.
I think I gotta disagree with you on that. I don't think we're getting anything like that. I don't think we're getting anything brand new. I think that anybody that would run in on any match or do something is gonna be already like existing in that storyline.
That's
I,
why I
I don't
want to
think
be
we're getting
Randy
anything
to be
brand
like
new.
punt him, and be like, I'm the one who took your teeth, bitch.
Yeah, but then nobody would care about the main event. You know what I'm
Right? I
saying?
know. That's what I'm saying.
That's something you just do on Friday. That's something you do on SmackDown.
I guess. All
But
right.
that's
Look,
why that's why I want both guys to get stretchered out so we can let that cool off for a while. So then while Jacob is gone, then we can start laying the foundation of figuring out who that mystery attacker was. And you don't even have to really like make that the motive of whatever storyline you've got going on. You could come by it by accident. You could be something else could be happening in the background and then they're like, "Oh, well let's watch this replay." And then in the background, that just so happens to be like where Randy is walking away or whoever is walking away from Drew. And I'm telling you, man, I just think the best way to I pitched it months ago, is the Kit Wilson detective gimmick. I think you just get Kit Wilson to start being like, what's toxic is that
who's the
nobody ever
most
figured out who
toxic on the
attacked Jacob.
yeah.
Like
Who's
that,
the most
that's,
toxic on the show?
we can't just like cry and fly around here. So, I don't know, but I don't think anybody comes out to attack or get inserted. That's why I think
No, I don't
I
think
want to
I
see
don't think
both of these
anything
guys.
happens in the match. I think if something happens, it's post match. But
I
give
still
me
don't even
Jacob,
think that.
give me Jacob to win, and I hope there's blood. I know it's on ESPN, but I hope there's blood. I hope it's just this. This should be the most brutal match of the weekend, or the second most brutal match of the weekend, behind maybe Oba and Brock. If you consider that brutal, I think that's just pure power and not brutality. Maybe in some ways, I think this is the most brutal match, and it needs to be. Like I want everything about Jacob Fatu is sold on brutality and, you know, all gas, no brakes, baby. All gas, no brakes. So that's what we need. We can't have some whatever sanitized version of this match because it's on ESPN. Like Drew's arm needs to be hanging off of him, or something. Like you're gonna get that reattached before before he goes to the movies.
Sorry. Yeah, I was just saying before Highlander. Yeah. All right. Well, now you're muted. But so we go from talking about Drew McIntyre and his extracurricular activities with Highlander. Let's talk about another person who recently released some of their extracurricular activities. That is Liv Morgan challenging for the WWE Women's World Heavyweight Championship against the champion Stephanie Vaquer. Matt, if you haven't heard it, well, I sent it to you. Liv Morgan released her own song, and it was a song. It was some of the music I've heard in my life. And look, I love Liv. You know how much I love Liv, but that song it wasn't great for me. But
What's supposed to do? Is that supposed to be like her new entrance song or something? Is that
well, a
what
lot
it's
of
gonna
people think
be?
it will be. A lot of people think it will be. So, and no shade to Liv. I don't have the confidence that she has to release music, so I'm not judging there. It just wasn't for me. And it was also really unexpected. I hadn't heard anything about her like making music or there being a song that was going to drop soon. So kind of caught me off guard. But look, this rivalry picked up even more on Monday Night Raw. They had a big pull apart with Liv just like going crazy. She was running off of no sleep because she went to Coachella over the weekend. So her eyes were just like she looked crazed with the
Dude,
big
she looked
bruise on her forehead.
insane.
It was, I don't know, man. Call me crazy, but I feel like Liv and Stephanie is low key like the best built feud going into WrestleMania weekend. And, I think the match is obviously going to be good. Both of these women are great. But I think that if you ask anybody 2 or 3 months ago which match would have the best build, I don't think they'd tell you this one. And I think it's been pretty good. And I think what has even been better is you have Dominic Mysterio right there with Liv, who could be an easy piece to like just help amplify this rivalry, but they haven't even really needed Dom like that. Dom was involved like a few times, but that's been over a month ago that Dom was really involved in the storyline. And since then, it's been straight up Liv and Raquel, almost said Raquel, Liv and Stephanie doing their thing and getting people hyped for this match. And look, I think it's going to be a really fun match. But the big question to have coming out of this for you, Matt, and then I'll give you my prediction. What do we think about Raquel and Roxanne? And whatever we do think, is it going to happen at WrestleMania or is it going to happen the Monday night after? Because I tell you what, Matt, I've been really back and forth on this. I'm like 51-49 in terms of my split because my gut tells me that I really feel like Liv should win it. But I really feel like a lot of that is dependent on what happens with Raquel and Roxanne. And that's why I'm saying I don't think anything happens at WrestleMania. I think maybe we don't see that until the Monday night after. So, with that being said, give me Liv Morgan to take the Women's World Heavyweight Championship from Stephanie Vaquer. Maybe even in a situation where it seems like Raquel is getting frustrated with Liv, and Roxanne might even be more helpful to Liv in terms of winning that championship than Raquel is that night, at least. So I don't know what's going to happen with Raquel and Roxanne. Maybe you've got something, but until Monday Night Raw, which I think something may happen then, give me Liv Morgan to be your new champion going into Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, I don't think anything happens with Raquel and Roxanne Saturday night. I think it happens Sunday. I think we'll see it Sunday when we get to the Finn Dom matchup. I think then we'll see maybe some things, and who knows, maybe it'll come fully to head, as you said, on Monday night. But I feel like we're going to see it more on the Finn Dom match. As for this match in particular, dude, yeah, this is the only one I'm worried that I'm I'm I might be disappointed by because I have such high expectations for it. I've said it before, and I know you don't 100% agree with me, but I feel like Liv works better as a tag person. I feel like Liv solo, and Stephanie, I feel like she needs one or two more moves. I know she's been around forever, but we all know her one move, the Devil's Kiss, and
Well, she did actually introduce a new move
did
recently,
she?
the Vaquer Inferno. Yeah.
Okay,
So
good,
she just
because I
she
feel
just
like
talked about that in her interview with CVV about introducing a new move.
that's well, there you go. So I feel like that's kind of her one drawback is that she needs more of a move set because the Devil's Kiss is great, but after it when you do it to everybody, it starts to feel a little ridiculous. Maybe I don't know.
Well, and
Like
let's be real, we're doing it for fan service. We're doing it so Stephanie can put her ass in the air. And
right?
and
No, no, no. It's
and
definitely
hey,
it's
look,
definitely that
hey,
too.
hey, hands up. I am but a man. No real complaints here. So, but I agree with you that yeah, she needs some more of a move set for her repertoire.
Like, I mean, I need to see, like, I think like when she wrestled Raquel, like Raquel broke out of it once and then eventually got hit with it. But like Raquel's somebody who shouldn't get devil's kissed, Like you shouldn't be able to devil's kiss Nia Jax unless you like just been wearing her out for like 20 minutes and now she's exhausted. Like those bigger girls should be able to get out of it. Anyways, that's neither here or there. That's just saying that I, I don't know, man. This is going to be one of those matches that I really hope isn't deflating. Like, because I feel like both these girls can go 5 minutes hard, and then give you the best 5 minute match ever. But if it goes 10 minutes, I feel like it starts to the law of diminishing returns. So, but yeah, but this build's been great, especially with like the little amount of time these ladies get on each episode of Raw. It's like they get 3 minutes to shout at each other, but it's the most intense shouting, or it's the most real talk. Calling mothers trash. Calling just ripping on each other. And then, as you said, Liv's face, like if you didn't watch Raw on Monday, just go back and just watch Liv just shouting. I would be scared of Liv. I wouldn't want any Liv. Liv would have beaten my ass on Monday night. I think she could have killed anybody on Monday night. Give me Liv, but I ask you this in Casey, if Liv wins, where do we go with Stephanie?
I think she should maybe be off of TV for a while and then probably go after the Queen of the Ring. That would probably be my immediate booking because then you could give her rematch right at SummerSlam if she wins the Queen of the Ring. But also, look, I wouldn't be mad at Stephanie Vaquer after she goes back after the world title if she doesn't reclaim it later this year. I wouldn't be mad at Stephanie Vaquer either moving to SmackDown or going after the Intercontinental Championship. I wouldn't be mad at either of those. Like, let's not pretend that Stephanie's got 20 more years in the tank. She's a very well established veteran from around the world. So if we're gonna do stuff with Stephanie, we might as well just do it, man. And if you want to continue to establish that lineage for that Intercontinental Championship, which already has some big names behind it, you might as well throw Stephanie in there, who you've already put the rocket on the second you signed her in NXT. So yeah, I mean, if Stephanie does lose the title at WrestleMania, I say take her off TV for like a week or two, unless you're going to do the rematch immediately at Backlash. Then I'm cool with that. But ideally, I would like to see something happen between the Judgment Day women and then Liv having to defend against one or both of them at Backlash. And then again, by that point, Stephanie is off TV for a while, and then she can come back and say she wants to go after the Queen of the Ring to maybe go back after Liv at SummerSlam. So that's what I would do. All right. Well, let's jump into our next match. We're going to stay with the women. Funny enough, just talking about the Women's Intercontinental Championship.
Here we go.
Yeah, we're going to jump into AJ Lee defending that Women's Intercontinental Championship against the man, Becky Lynch, big time Bex, and Becky said this is her house. WrestleMania is her domain. It's her playground. And look, man, in a lot of ways, she's not wrong. She was really her, along with Ronda Rousey and Charlotte and Sasha Banks and Bayley and a lot of other women that came before her, really established, the women getting the respect they deserve, at least in terms of equality. I think Trish Stratus and Lita, Sable, Jazz, a lot of women like that, they were responsible for like putting women's wrestling in the on the television of people at home, in the way of like, these aren't just like, not only are they beautiful, but they can go in the ring. It's not just supermodels. Like, they are hot enough to be supermodels, but they can also kick your ass in the ring. Like, that's why Jazz, shout out to Jazz. I'm actually friends with her and her husband on Facebook, and me and Rodney talk, not like all the time, but we talk here and there. But they have their own school out in Texas, and I mean, look, shout out to Jazz. I think that not only one of the most underrated women in the history of the business, but like probably one of my favorite women's wrestlers to ever like exist. I think she's just that damn good. But when you look at the lineage of this title, and you look at who I feel is best fit to carry this going forward. Look, Matt, I wrote down, we got to all agree, if AJ's going to win here, she's got to be here. It can't be something where she wins the title and then she ducks off for a part-time schedule. And so with that being said, I really feel like Becky Lynch needs to pick up the win here. And I feel like, unfortunately, you and I are probably going to agree once again, but Becky just feels like obviously I know AJ's a star, but Becky just feels like the most equipped woman to carry that title right now. And so when I look at both of these women, I'm a big fan of both of them. But storyline wise, and just who I feel like, for lack of a better term, deserves it more, gotta go Becky Lynch, man. And it's tough to not pick AJ because she hasn't had it for that long. But I wouldn't be surprised if this title kind of hot shots back and forth between the two. So yeah, give me Becky Lynch to win the title. And Matt, do you agree that if AJ is going to retain here, we've got to see her stick around?
Oh yeah, no, we got to see AJ, and I hate to say this because everybody else who's watched forever knows who she is, but I'm going to say we have to see AJ develop, because I feel like a lot of people, if you've only been watching the last 3, 4, 5 years, you don't know much about AJ besides she's Punk's wife, and her and Becky don't get along. We haven't gotten a lot of AJ on the Raw, in general, uh, since she's come back. So if she's going to retain the title, then yeah, we got to get more AJ. We got to get more promos with AJ that aren't just about her and Becky. We got to just, the rest of the wrestling world who doesn't know who AJ Lee is has to be allowed to meet her in a sense. Does that make sense? So we got that. But look, this is maybe the first match where I don't want either person to win. I don't know if it's beneficial either way. One, because like you said, I don't know if AJ Lee is going to come back and be a regular. So if she's not, I don't want her to have the title. And then I don't want Becky really to have it, because I feel like Becky needs to go on and move on to other things. Giving her the title is just kind of all right, now we're back to like ground zero. Let's start over again and figure out, how we're going to redo this Intercontinental and see if we can blast Becky off to the main card, or, so yeah, I feel like neither woman really benefits from this. I guess AJ does if she stays, so God, I hate that it's contingent on that because I mean, really, I don't like I said. I've got no need for Becky to win this. Besides, I don't want AJ to win it and then not be on the show. But I feel like if Becky wins it, she should be losing it within 2 weeks to God, not Maxine Dupree again, but somebody, somebody, Lyra, she should be losing to Lyra or Bailey in 2 weeks, or in a month or something like that. Give me Becky reluctantly because I don't believe AJ is going to be a regular. If I thought AJ was coming back to be a regular, I'd take AJ right here. So give
Yeah.
me Becky reluctantly, but give me Becky not to have it for that long. I don't think this is a long title reign, or at least I hope it's not. I hope, like I said, bigger and better things for Becky is what I'm looking for.
Yeah, and I just feel like this is a really big situation of I personally feel like this feud has been mismanaged since Elimination Chamber. I feel like Becky should have retained at the Chamber and you should have had this story of AJ Lee chasing Becky into Mania. That just makes the most sense to me. And now you've got this weird situation of you made AJ champion because she was in her adopted hometown of Chicago, and that's cool, but now you've got another situation where you've got fans begging for the heel to beat the babyface at WrestleMania because the babyface isn't around long enough, you know? And so I
On
feel
top
like
of that,
it should
I could be
go ahead.
wrong, Casey, but since AJ's come back, I feel like the only person she's wrestled or had any interaction with is Becky. So it's kind of like just the AJ Becky show, and I've seen enough of it. I'm kind of
Yeah.
over it.
Well, I would have liked to see a situation where if we were gonna flip the title to AJ Lee, there were so many women already involved. Like if you were gonna give us the AJ Becky match at Elimination Chamber and then we get, AJ winning, I guess in a way the rematch at Mania makes sense because then you could have Becky pick up the win. They're tied 1-1 and you set up the rubber match for down the line, whenever you want to do that between the two. But if we're gonna flip the title to AJ at Elimination Chamber, there were so many women involved that I talked about this with the women's tag team championships, but sorry, excuse me. Try not to sneeze. But I would have liked to see a situation where we kind of establish some like I guess, yeah, establish some lineage for this championship and put all these women in a ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship. Like, imagine Becky, AJ Lee, Natty, Maxine Dupree, Ivy Nile, maybe even Lyra being mixed in here for the women's Intercontinental title. Everybody going at it in a ladder match. I feel like, and I know it's hard. You got a lot of roster spots and a lot of multi-person matches already happening, but I feel like that would have been more exciting than this. And that's really no fault to Becky and AJ. I just feel like they pulled the trigger on the first match between them, or at least the championship swap. I feel like they pulled that trigger a little too early. I feel like we should have had AJ chasing Becky into Mania with Becky still holding that title.
I feel like, they shouldn't be wrestling each other and they should be somebody else's wrestling AJ. Like, I would much rather see AJ Lee and Io Sky, you know?
Yeah, and
We're
I
not
mean, what is EO even doing?
we're not
You
and
know?
we're not getting Io for WrestleMania, it looks like right now. Maybe we do, but maybe she'll pop up during Rhea's match, or maybe they'll decide after SmackDown that we're gonna get an Io Asuka match or something. But I mean, look, I mean, I thought for a second there that I thought Io was going for the Intercontinental Championship, so I would have much rather seen that, or something. I don't know. They're just this like I said, AJ Lee and Becky Lynch have just been feuding since AJ came back, and this is another feud, like many of the ones that will keep going, that has gotten stale before WrestleMania. It's gotten very stale, and there's been nothing really to pump it back up, you know?
Yeah, and
Like,
they even
God,
had a week where they didn't even feature AJ or Becky on the show
right,
at all, and,
right.
and it still got stale too quick.
And
So
they had like some weird one-on-one sit-down interview thing with the two of them or whatever. I mean, I think like they came out like an interview with Michael Cole and like Becky showed up or something. And it's just that this feud needed something else. It just needed something else. It needed, like, I mean, I don't know, it's probably like a ruthless aggression era type thing, but it needed Becky like ripping AJ's top off, you know, in front of like
definitely don't think we needed that. No, I
I
don't
mean,
think we
I'm
needed
just
that.
saying something, you know,
I
that
don't know, man.
that
Like Drew recently said on CVV's podcast that he would never take a shot at Punk about Larry, Punk's dog, because he knows how much pets mean. But like
right.
that's the shot I feel like we should have took. When AJ Lee took the shot about about Rue, Becky's kid, and being your favorite wrestler or whatever. Like, I feel like Becky should have, as morbid as it is, should have been like, yeah, well, what do you know about kids? Your dog just died. So where's your kid? You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
something
Well,
along those lines.
thank God you don't have a child, AJ, because you can't even raise a dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
needed
Something.
something.
And like, it's messed up, but like, it needed something. So,
Yeah,
yeah. Right.
something.
Well,
Needed some active aggression. Yeah, all
so we're
right.
both going Becky here. Cool. So we just keep agreeing. All
Reluctantly,
right.
Becky.
For the next match, I think we might go different ways here, but we're staying with the women again. A lot of talented women on the card this weekend. Women's tag team championships are up for grabs as the Irresistible Forces defend against the Best Friends, Charlexa, Bailey and Lyra Valkyria, and the Bella Twins. Now, Matt, the champs feel like probably the most complete team out of this group as a whole. But I can also say that I feel like Bailey and Lyra, maybe out of every team in this, need the win the most. And then you obviously know Charlexa feels like they're on the brink of collapse. And the Bella Twins, I think it's Nikki, is nursing a minor injury. So who knows what capacity they'll be able to go at for this match, because apparently, even as recently as this week, the injuries for the Bellas was a little questionable. We don't really know. So I've even heard rumors that we might see the Bella Twins attacked backstage and written out of this match on SmackDown, and maybe then the Kabuki Warriors might be
Right,
inserted.
right, right. Yeah.
So I don't really know where exactly we go with that if the Bellas do have to get written off, but I'm assuming going forward that they're going to be in the match, because as of right now they are. But Matt, I'll let you take the lead on this one. 4 talented teams in this one. Where are you going? I have a feeling I know, and I'll keep it right here, but where are you going?
I am taking the Valkyries. So
Whoa, okay, I was wrong. I did not expect you to pick them. Okay.
taking the Valkyries to take this. I think the Bella Twins or the Kabuki Warriors take the pin. I feel like Charlexa or Not Friends and the Irresistible Forces kind of cancel each other out. I feel like, like they're busy squabbling while Bailey's getting the quick pin on like Nikki Bella or something. So I think this is gonna be a fun. This is gonna be a fun. Like all 4 of these teams are great. Like these are like we've said it many times. The women's tag division is the best it's ever been, and these all 4 teams are solid across the board. But as you pointed out, not friends are becoming not friends, so we're probably going to see the breakup of Charlexa soon after WrestleMania. It may be the SmackDown after. It may be post match for all we know. I think the Irresistible Forces are here for a little while longer. They're my backup. Like if I had to take 2, they would be my backup to retain.
It's who I figured you were going to pick, to be
But
honest, because you've just been a big fan of them.
I think no, I think they stick together, and I feel like they are the villains of the women's tag division. But we're going back to WrestleMania last year, right? Who was supposed to get the tag team championship? Bailey. And she got screwed over because Becky took her spot, and her and Lyra won it for what, a day, and then
They
and then
lost it the next night, the
and
next
then they
Monday,
lost it
yeah.
the next night to the Judgment Day. So yeah, give me the Valkyries to win this, pinning the Bellas, and then give me like a good storyline between the Valkyries and the Irresistible Forces after maybe the Irresistible Forces cause Charlexa to break up. It like I feel like there's a lot of, but I don't feel like the Irresistible Forces are going to break up, and I don't feel like Bailey and Lyra are breaking up. But so yeah, I feel like those are the 2 main women's tag teams going forward in a lot of ways. But yeah, but yeah, I'm taking them because yeah, like I said, I've nothing else. I feel like Bailey's owed this.
Yeah, no, I get you. And honestly, the 2 teams I bounce back and forth between are Bailey and Lyra, and actually the Bella Twins.
Okay.
I talked about this a few months ago, where the Bella Twins, their runs kind of didn't coincide with the women's tag titles. So
Right. They
they've
never
never
actually had
won
the
them
titles.
together.
Right.
Yeah. And so part of me feels like maybe WWE might go with the history making, two Hall of Famers back in the ring together, twin sisters. Really, you can argue kind of sparked the women's revolution. And Nikki is also the longest reigning Divas champion of all time. So, like, a lot of it adds up to where WWE might make them champions to not only get eyes on that title, but to make some history for wrestling. But Matt, I think I kind of have to agree with you again. I think I got to go Bailey and Lyra. It just feels like I wrote it in our notes. It feels like they are the team that needs the win the most. They need to pick up that win. If not, the destruction of their team is coming soon. And I tell you what, I think that Charlexa is safe for now. But I tell you what I could see happening. I could see a situation where Bailey and Lyra are in a prime position to pick up the win, but Lyra, I don't know. I could see something where Bailey makes a call and makes a malicious or takes a malicious shot at like Alexa or Charlotte. And all of a sudden Bailey's like, because we've seen Bailey embrace a little bit of that darker side. I say darker side, but like that attitude of like, I don't care who I have to step on. I'm gonna get what I want to get. And I could see a situation where she like takes advantage of a situation and pins Charlotte, with a roll up and holds the tights, or pins Alexa or something. I really feel like Charlotte needs to be the one to eat the pin here. I feel like it should be Bailey pinning Charlotte.
Okay.
And
Wow.
and then
Okay.
in the fallout of this, Charlexa, they get one more shot. They market it as Charlexa's last opportunity at the tag team champions, and then we get Bailey and Lyra as the new champions defending against Charlexa at Backlash. And I feel like you even have Charlotte take the pin there again, and that's where Alexa can finally say, "I've had enough," and she turns on Charlotte. And Alexa is the one to turn and break up the team. And now you've got Charlotte coming off of some, albeit losses that were her fault. You could say that were losses that didn't elicit the response of Alexa Bliss. And so now you've got all this heat on Alexa. You've got all the fans behind Charlotte because she was betrayed by the one woman that she trusted. And so, yeah, I feel like Charlotte needs to eat the pin at WrestleMania. I feel like she needs to eat the pin at Backlash. And then Alexa just finally stabs the knife in her back and does what we need to do. Then Bailey and Lyra can go on to have another feud with the Irresistible Forces, who lost their titles at WrestleMania. Now you can have that program going into the summer. So I feel like it just makes sense for Bailey and Lyra to win here. So we're on the same page there, but I do think the fallout of it is a little bit different than what you've got. Either way, we've got Bailey and Lyra walking out of WrestleMania as the champions.
You got Charlotte getting pinned by Bailey. What?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, I just feel like it adds up to a lot of Charlotte taking a lot of losses that are detrimental to her team, to the point that Alexa just can't take it anymore. And I feel like Alexa's just going to snap. And we've seen Alexa as a heel, as the number one heel in the company before. So it just wouldn't shock me to see Alexa take that route again. All right. Well, look, we're talking about some of the greatest of all time in terms of the women's division. Let's talk about two of the current greatest in the game right now. Seth Rollins going up against Gunther in a match that, at first didn't make a lot of sense. We talked about, or Paul Heyman and Gunther working together. That was your big question. I didn't think they were working together. So it was kind of a combination of both of our ideas. Gunther did it for Paul, but not because Paul wanted him to. It was
Right.
just simply for favor. And the big question, Matt, is that favor Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam? Does he want to try to retire Brock at SummerSlam? And I'd have to say probably so. It probably is, just to get that match with Brock. So I'll let you take the big lead on this, but is that the favor? And does Braun Breaker come back at WrestleMania to cost Rollins this match? Tell us what you think.
Look, no, you've hit all the nails on the head. This is, unfortunately, because of the short build on this one, I feel like this is the most transparent of all the matches to look at, you know. And I also want to get in. Hey, look, Seth did kind of imply that he brought Obafemi out, so he did kind of imply that as well. There's the
Right,
implication.
but remember, I said that night as well. I don't feel like it's a partnership. I feel like
Right,
it's a
right. No, I know.
they cross each other backstage and they kind of stare each other down, and then they look at the TV monitor and Brock's out there and Seth's just like, hey, you know, if there's
I want
anybody,
I want some backstage interaction between Seth and Oba. I just do, like, it's like friendly, like, pal interaction, not like But anyways, that's neither here nor there. This match, though, dude, look, yeah, Gunther picks up the win because of Brock, or not Brock, because of Braun Breaker, probably, or something. I can't imagine Gunther losing this match, and I can't imagine Seth losing this match clean. So, and I don't feel there's going to be shenanigans on Seth's part. So this has got to be Gunther wins due to some shenanigans. The real question is, does he choke Seth out? Does he make, is the sleeper the finish? Or does Seth tap?
No to that.
No,
I will
that's
say
what I'm saying. I
immediately,
don't
no, he
think
doesn't
Seth
tap.
taps.
No,
Yeah.
no.
So does Gunther put Seth to sleep? I think for me, that's the biggest question right here. And yes, I do believe this does lead somehow to, I don't know if it's SummerSlam. I don't know how soon they want to retire Brock Lesnar. I feel like they want him and Oba to have maybe a little bit more of a series first, maybe. If we assume maybe Oba wins at WrestleMania, then Brock, or even if Brock wins at WrestleMania, you feel like there's going to be 2 more matches, maybe. These, like, we're going to have a set of 3 with these guys. So I don't know if SummerSlam is too early to retire Brock, but it's interesting because there's one guy I feel like is slimy and smart enough to get around Paul Heyman. It's Gunther, right? Like Gunther's got his own, like Gunther's like his own Paul Heyman in a sense, like he's like, look what I got over here though, so I'm curious, really, I'm just curious to see how those two interact as like, they're not friends, but Paul owes Gunther a favor. I don't know if Paul's really ever owed a favor, in a sense. So
CM Punk.
I mean, besides the Punk thing, right, where he took Punk's corner, but this is a different kind of favor. Like owing Punk a favor, it's like they're buddies. Like there's no relationship really between Paul and Gunther, except that they're both major assholes, for lack of a better word.
Well, and I think that's the big thing. The connective tissue here is just Brock Lesnar. Is Gunther wants Brock Lesnar. Paul Heyman has Brock Lesnar. That's really the only connection I think you need.
But no, but I'm just saying. But until it gets to that point, because I'm sure it's going to get to that point. But I want to see all the slimy interactions between the two of them, where Gunther's just like, Paul, you'll still owe me, and he just walks away or something, and Paul's like, damn it, I hate owning Gunther. So for me, that's the fun. I hope this is a good match, but I don't know. I mean, like I said, Casey, what do you think? Is Seth getting choked out here? What do you got on this one? Is this all for a Brock Lesnar meetup? What are we looking at?
Yeah, so I tell you what, I do think that we are destined to get Gunther and Brock at SummerSlam. And does Seth get choked out? Yeah, I think so. I think we see a situation where probably Gunther is trying to lock Seth in the sleeper, and then Seth trying to fight out of it. They have this situation where they shove the ref into the corner. Ref takes a bump. He's out. Braun Breaker shows up out of nowhere, probably wearing a mask. He rips the mask off, spears Seth, and then Gunther sits up after everything has happened, and he's just doing his evil supervillain laugh. And he just laughs. He picks up Seth, locks him in the sleeper until the ref finally comes to, and Seth is just out. He doesn't tap out. He doesn't even really fight. After the spear, he might squirm for a second, but Gunther just laughs and locks him in, and that's how the match ends. Is Seth just sorry, a piece of hair flew right in front of my camera trying to make an appearance. But yeah, I think that's how it ends. Yeah, I think probably while the ref is down, Braun hits a spear, and then Gunther sits up, laughing all evil and maniacal, and locks him in, and Seth is out, and that's that. So yeah, I think that's exactly how it's going to happen.
Well, what was the other thing I was going to say about? I lost it for a second. Braun. Oh, you say he comes out in a mask. When you say a mask, not hoodie, or you think he comes out in a hoodie or a mask?
I think he's gonna be wearing the same kind of ski mask that Seth was wearing for months.
Yeah, I wish he'd come out like in a Michael Myers mask or something. Like let's change it up. Let's get some interesting.
Well, the thing is though, is like
a scream
Brock's
mask.
Brock's the type of guy though that would. He doesn't need a mask, and I almost feel like putting him in one would devalue him. Like if he's not just gonna show up and just like straight up spear Seth, the mask is only symbolic because that's just what Seth was doing.
Right. No,
If the mask wasn't involved, I think Brock should just show up, you know?
I guess I'm just getting tired of the hoodie mask. Like, I feel like
Well, that'll be
if
the
we're
end of it. That'll be it kills
all
it.
right.
I think this little bit will kill it for at least
Okay,
for a
that's
few
all I'm
years.
saying. Like, I'd rather like people come out in different masks now. Like, let's have more fun with this. Like we should have tied in with Scream 7, and there should have been people coming out with ghost face masks, you know?
Oh god, Matt, we don't need that because then we'd have this match between Gunther and Seth would be branded. It would be the Scream 7 blah 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 brawl between Seth Rollins and Gunther, and the whole ringside arena is just Scream 7 ads,
That would
you
be
know?
great. Gunther would be like, Seth, I will make you scream 7 times with my chest slaps. Whoop!
Yeah, it'd be a really good way for me to pause and then fast forward through that match and just read the highlights. All right, well, look, we brought up Oba during that. We'll talk about Oba after this next match because the next match we have is the main event of night one. The undisputed WWE Championship is on the line. Cody Rhodes defending against Randy Orton with Pat McAfee in his corner.
Ugh.
This rivalry has been kind of all, the way we explained it earlier, muddled, I guess. If the waters have been muddied, and a lot of celebrity involvement. I'm sure we can expect Jelly Roll to be here. I wrote in our notes that I think that WWE, at least TKO, that portion of the WWE backstage workings, view Cody as the modern day Hogan, and in a lot of ways, they're right. But I feel like that means he always has to be around the celebrity involvement. And I don't necessarily feel like that always works with Cody. And I don't always feel like the celebrity involvement works in the main event title picture and in the main event scene. Like we just talked about ISHO Speed earlier and how the things that he's doing are so great because we're not using his name and his likeness and his storyline to hype up the 20-year long story that didn't need celebrity involvement, especially a guy like Pat McAfee and especially a guy like Jelly Roll. I feel like those guys play their part in being the guys that get taken out or attacked or used as cannon fodder, I guess, for that title picture. But whenever now I don't get any real mic time from Randy Orton on Friday Night SmackDown, but I get to hear from Pat McAfee for 15 minutes straight. You're kind of losing me. I'm gonna be real. And this was a lot of the big worries about WWE selling and being acquired by TKO was that we were going to get a lot of this and it was going to be a lot of corporate overreach and a lot of corporate ideas that were going to be not really ideas. It's, hey, this is what's happening because I said so. Not even to mention, I mean, look, we won't dive into all the backstage workings of it, but Ari Emanuel, who is big in the TKO stratosphere, is also, the manager of Pat McAfee. So now you've got the manager who is involved in the corporate of TKO, who is now pushing this guy who's a celebrity that apparently he wants to be the next Sylvester Stallone, like you said, whatever the hell that means in 2026. And again, hey, look, dad bod extraordinaire here. Not going to pretend I'm the fittest dude, but you want me to believe that Pat McAfee, the former punter for the NFL, is the next Sylvester Stallone because he got involved in a WWE storyline? I'm sorry, I'm not, especially for a guy that's already in his 40s. I'm not buying it. And everybody can try to twist this McAfee involvement to make me excited about it all they want. Not going to happen. We had Cody and we had Randy. We've been begging for it for years. Not only did you give it to us at the worst possible time, you somehow made it worse with all the celebrity involvement. And now it just feels like, look, in the world where we're talking about Liv and Stephanie, no disrespect to either of those women, being the best build going into WrestleMania when we least expected it, we expected this was the hey, everybody walk up, ball's not going far, easy out. And, they hit a grand slam, but in a bad way. They knock it out of the park by messing it up. We expect this to be a layup, and they pull it up from half court while we still got 10 seconds left on the clock. And so I don't know, man. The match has to be really good. It has to be really good. And I will say, you're right in the way that Pat has helped get Cody back over. Just a few weeks ago, Cody was getting booed out of the buildings, but now they hate Pat McAfee so much that Cody is kind of the hero again. But I also feel worrisome in a way that whenever the audience is tired of voicing their displeasure for Pat and they realize that Pat is not going anywhere, that they're going to turn on Cody again. And instead of just booing Pat, they're going to boo Pat and they're going to boo Cody. And it's just going to be a bad situation for both of them. I feel like you should have just had the double turn. You should have turned Cody heel. You should have let Randy be the face going into this, or however, you should have turned them both heel, or you should have double turned them at the event. Cody should have been heel last year for really boiling things down. But all of that to say, Matt, this kind of feels like a guaranteed Randy win, right? I mean, Pat McAfee just said on SmackDown, if Randy doesn't walk out as the 15-time champion, you will never hear from me ever again in this business. That tells me that Randy's winning. That tells me that Pat McAfee is going to be here past WrestleMania, which none of us are surprised. Unless I'm super wrong and Cody just retains and Pat's gone. But that also leads into my question for night 2 main event on if Pat will be involved in that somehow. Like if all of a sudden Randy doesn't win night 1, is Pat all of a sudden desperate and trying to win the good graces of Roman and bring him into the corporate, whatever they've got going on? So I don't know, Matt. All that to say, I've been saying for months that I'm picking Randy anyways, but I am picking Randy. It just feels like WWE had this in the palm of their hands and they just messed it up so bad.
No, this all comes off as you said, their inability or their lack of desire, or Cody's lack of desire to go heel. I mean, I've heard a lot of times Cody doesn't want to go heel. So that's part of it, you know. And then once Pat promised he was going to leave the WWE forever if Randy loses, what are you doing? Like, we immediately now know Randy's winning, because we know they're not going to take Pat off of WWE forever. Not, as you said, Ari Emanuel's future Sylvester Stallone. That guy is going to be everywhere. They're not taking him off of WWE. So I hate how this has become more a Cody Rhodes, Pat McAfee match, right? I feel like Randy Orton's kind of been forgotten in all this. In some ways, I'd rather see Cody come out there and before the match started, call Pat out to the ring, crossroads him like 3 times real fast, and leave him like, bleeding and done, and then be like, all right, now let's start the match. Now that everybody's like, we've taken care of the Pat McAfee situation. I don't know, man. Like, but like I said, but Pat's done what we want him to do. He's come out and, like I said, made Cody a face again. He's made people boo Randy who weren't going to boo Randy. So in some ways, I don't, you said it wasn't part of their strategy, but I wonder if it was part of Pat's strategy, right? Because you heard when Pat came out the first time, he went off script, supposedly. And I'm curious if this was Pat's like, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to become the biggest heel in the freaking company. I don't care. I'm just going to do it because that's who I am. I'm Pat McAfee. I don't know. I wonder if he went off script with that intention. But God, I just hope this is a good match, but I don't know how Randy loses now. That's the problem. With this guarantee that Pat would leave WWE if Randy loses, I don't know how Randy loses now. So it's kind of taken all the intrigue out of the match for me, man. So
I do have something I want to pitch to you. Like, as much as I don't like Pat being involved in this, I'm kind of just thinking about this now. If we're backing ourselves into a corner so much so that we feel like it's an obvious conclusion that Randy's going to win, what if we see a situation where, like you said, what if Pat is starting to get on Randy's nerves a little bit? What if Pat's britches are getting a little too big? And in the match, let's say we get a ref bump, whatever. Ref's down, because the ref always goes down in the main events. It always happens. And let's say we see a situation where Pat's getting involved and Randy's kind of getting frustrated. He's like, look, man, I didn't ask you to be out here. Like, if we're truth being told, I didn't even want you here. You're here because of our boss, if we're being real. Like, I've been dealing with you, but I don't want you here.
Truth being told, I didn't know I was calling you the last couple of weeks. I thought I was calling somebody else until you came on and told me I was calling you. I was like, what?
So I just see, what if we're in a situation where in the match, Randy kind of does the big baby face thing, right? And just like kicks Pat to the side. What if he like RKOs him or punts him or does something to the point where now we can cheer for Randy, like for real, because Randy got rid of the guy that we didn't want in Pat McAfee. But what if WWE is planning a swerve, Matt, where we see a situation where it looks like Cody and Randy are going to have like a straight up rest of the match, one-on-one, man-on-man, mano-a-mano, whatever. And what if Cody does finally do the heel turn, and in order to get some mega, I mean mega heat, what if Cody joins up with Pat McAfee and like all of a sudden now we're wondering like, what the hell? And they could play it off after the fact and say it was all part of the plan, whatever, whatever, whatever. But if you want to really turn Cody heel and you really want to turn Randy babyface, flip the spots, man. We've been talking about doing a double turn in this match, along with another match we'll talk about night two. If you really want to do a double turn and you really want to make Randy Orton the good guy and you really want to make Cody the bad guy, I don't know, man. All of a sudden, Cody, it's like Stone Cold shaking the hand of Vince McMahon at WrestleMania. It was like that one, and it's talked to a lot of, in hindsight, a lot of people didn't like it, whatever. But if you're really looking for the shock value and to make Cody that bad guy, have him turn his back on the fans and join up with the guy who he's been shit talking for weeks and turn his back on the fans. The one guy that they hate more than Cody right now, because let's not forget, Cody's not dumb. Like, he's just been talking about how he hears all the people booing him. He hears it. And what if he sees a situation kind of similar to what Cena saw last year, where Cena took advantage of an opportunity from The Rock and Travis Scott and turned on Cody? What if Cody does something similar and he sees himself? He's like, look, I hate this dude. I really don't like Pat McAfee, but siding with him now keeps my championship around my waist. I don't know. I don't know exactly how I'd book it, but I could see them doing something crazy like that. I'm just putting it on the internet in case it happens.
Here's the other question. Before this whole Pat McAfee thing happened, wasn't he on the radio talking about how he wasn't sure if he was going to come back to WWE in the first place? So maybe he could be gone forever. Maybe Randy could lose and he could be gone forever. Because maybe this is how we get rid of Pat.
Yeah, I mean, look, the more likely thing is what we've been saying this whole episode is that Randy's going to win and Pat is sticking around. I mean, Cody walking out the champion and staying a babyface feels almost impossible to me. Like, even with the Pat McAfee stuff, because then on the other side of it, the heat magnet's gone.
Right.
If they stick to it, Pat's gone. So there's nobody to take heat away from Cody now. It's right back to Cody being booed by the fans. So I feel like there has to be like something drastic to shake the foundation. And I feel like the only way that Cody winning makes sense is if he turns heel and joins up with Pat McAfee. And then you leave Randy sitting there on the other side of it. But that changes again, that shakes the foundation of the WWE. So that's a lot to ask to happen in one night.
Regardless, I hope Friday night on SmackDown, I hope that we get Randy bringing himself back into this match, because right now I feel like Randy's been absent. It's been the Pat McAfee Cody Rhodes show. So I really hope Friday that, like you said, maybe he even tells Pat to shut up for a minute so he can do a promo, whatever it is, something. I need some Randy Orton back in this match. So.
Well, that feels like a lot of the matches going into WrestleMania this weekend is we still need something. Like we still need something to get it there. It's like most of them are not quite there, or they were there 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it's now we're at the risk of them getting stale. So all right, so let's jump into WrestleMania 42 night 2, Sunday night, baby. And we already have the confirmation that kicking off Sunday night 2, it's going to be Oba Femi and Brock Lesnar, baby. They're putting it on free TV, quote unquote, if you call it TV, if you call it free now, because you pay for everything. But Oba Femi, Brock Lesnar, hour 1 on ESPN. Look, the big question out of this, Matt, is the question that everybody's asking, right? Is how damaging would an Oba Femi loss be to Brock Lesnar here? And I got to be real with you. I see everybody online. I say everybody, 95% of people online are talking about how detrimental this would be to Oba and how it would be basically a career killer this early on. I have seen a few people disagreeing with it, and I got to be one of those guys. As much as I want Oba to win this match, I don't think it's as damning to take this loss as some people are saying. Like, look, if we're building up to, I'm not advocating for it. Let me make that clear. I think Oba Femi should win this match. But if we're building up to Brock's last match, I know Brock doesn't need that extra like a solidification of who he is, like he's Brock Lesnar, but him fending off the potential future pillar of this company and getting him set up for Gunther kind of makes a lot of sense to me. And as much as I don't want it to happen, I think Oba should win. I just don't think it's crazy for WWE if they pull the trigger on Brock picking up that win, especially if it's like squeaked out. He barely gets that win. It's a back and forth match the whole time, and just like in a last gasp effort, Brock hits that last F5. Let's say Oba has eaten like 5 F5s. You know what I really want to see in this match? I want to see Oba eat an F5 and kick out at 1. I want to see that. Like, I love when we get matches like that where like it's a you expect it to, it's probably not to finish, but you expect it to be a close 2 count, and that ref hits 1, boom, kick out immediately. It always gets the crowd going so crazy. Look, if it's a situation where Oba's already eaten like 5 F5s and out of nowhere Brock's able to gasp like the 6th one and he's barely able to get his arm over Oba, and then even after they count the pin, both men just lay there unable to move, I don't think that's damaging to Oba, especially if after there's like a handshake between the two, as like a signal, like, hey, this is look, I got you today, kid, but you're it. Like whenever I'm gone, it's you. And so I want Oba to win. Oba winning makes the most sense, but I am also saying that there's a small percentage that also makes sense for Brock to win. So give me Oba, but I just wouldn't be shocked if it's Brock.
Give me Brock.
What? I did all that, and Matt's like, "Yep,
Give me
yep,
Brock. Give
yep."
me Brock. Look,
Wow. Okay, tell us.
I mean, look, Oba's dominated the entire way up to WrestleMania. There hasn't been a single interaction that Brock's come out on top of. And I'm with you. I feel like Brock's going to win the way you think he's going to win. It's going to be a slugfest between the two of them, and it's going to just be like Brock just got the arm. Like they both could be laying there, and Brock just rolls over, you know, and like you don't even know it's a pin until the ref starts counting, sort of thing, you know. My real question is, Casey, how long does this match go?
Well, that's the big thing. I asked, I think I maybe asked you a few weeks ago. Over under 7.5 minutes is where I kind of have it. I feel like maybe it's going to be longer, so maybe I'll over under 9 minutes. I think is a better. It's like, oh, okay. I mean, I know there's a lot of under there that you have because the match won't go 20 minutes, so there's not a lot of over room. But yeah, over under 9 minutes, I think is probably the sweet spot. But man, it feels like this match needs at least 10 minutes, but it also feels like if done right, this match only needs 5 minutes.
Yeah. So
So
like that's the
it's
other
tough to
question. Like
call.
if the match goes 10 minutes, who does it favor then? Is it favoring that you think it favors Oba? You
He's
think you
younger. I mean, just kind of
well
makes more sense in
just
a
I
way.
mean, I think a quick squash match favors Oba. I think if it ends quickly, that shows Oba's dominance, his strength. He gets out there and we get it in 5, you know. But I think the
Well,
longer
you're
this
saying
goes,
favors or makes them look better?
I mean, I
Like,
mean,
which
as much
one
as
would
you,
he win more easily, or which
yeah,
one makes him look better?
yeah. No. Which one makes would he win more easily? And I think Brock, if it goes longer, maybe his experience,
Yeah,
his.
but tell me, I know you haven't been watching wrestling for a long time, but tell me the last time Brock worked a 30-minute match. Oba did that like a dozen times last year.
I'm not saying Brock's ever worked 30-minute match. That's why
Well, that's
I'm
what I'm
like,
saying. So if it goes longer, like you would think, like maybe his UFC experience would come in a little bit because of long fights. But even in the UFC, Brock Lesnar wasn't a long round fighter. His matches didn't last to decision most of the time. And I would venture to guess that Brock has probably had in his whole career probably less than a handful of matches that were 30 minutes, and I would probably say less than 10 matches that were 20 minutes.
oh
I
no,
would be
no,
shocked.
I'm with you that the over under is like right at 9, but I'm saying if it goes to 10, 12 minutes, I think the longer it goes, the more just kayfabe favors Brock. That's all I'm saying. Now, until it goes to 20, because it's not going to go 20 minutes. It's going to go, I'd say, like most 12 or something, you know. And so I feel like kayfabe favors Brock. I don't know. I'm taking Brock, man. I love everything about Oba. And I don't think losing here hurts Oba unless it's a Brock Lesnar squash match, which why would you do that after all this build you've done for Oba? So, but I think this, because I really see a series between these guys. I see this being the first match of a series where, like, Oba's going to want, they're going to want a rematch. That's why I don't know if SummerSlam with Gunther and Brock is going to happen fast enough.
Well, can I tell you what I think? I think I have it booked perfectly for Oba, Gunther, and Brock Lesnar going into SummerSlam. I actually don't think that we see more than one match between these two. I think this is it. I think Brock's got 2 matches this year. I think it's WrestleMania and I think it's SummerSlam. I don't think there's anything else in between that. If you're asking me how I think we get there, I think that Oba should win this match. I won't talk about the World Heavyweight Championship. I think that on Monday Night Raw, he should come out and confront the winner of the CM Punk and Roman Reigns match and tell them straight up, I'm going to win the King of the Ring, and I am coming after your championship at SummerSlam, whether you like it or not. And whether that's CM Punk or Roman Reigns, I think it works either way. So then I think ideally, maybe you should have Gunther kind of harass Paul Heyman like the whole summer, have Brock be absent. Brock's not there, and Gunther is just like torturing Paul Heyman or doing whatever. And then I think honestly, the King of the Ring final should come down to Gunther and Obafemi. In that final, I think you probably should have Brock Lesnar come out and finally have enough of Gunther and cost him that King of the Ring men's final. So in a way, Brock didn't help Oba, but in a way, not only did Oba beat Brock at WrestleMania, so he got the torch passed right there at that moment, but because of that same legend that he beat, Oba, that Oba beat at WrestleMania, now at his hands, he's getting his first world championship shot on the main roster because he cost Gunther that King of the Ring final. So now, out of the summer, out of WrestleMania, we've got Obafemi facing off for the World Heavyweight Championship at SummerSlam, and now we have even more reasoning as, you know, past the favor, and now we've got Brock Lesnar costing Gunther that match. Now we've got Gunther and Brock, and now they've cost each other something, you know, and we have even more of a precedent for that retirement match. So yeah, that's exactly how I'd book it. I'd have Obafemi coming out the night after WrestleMania, telling the world heavyweight champion, hey, I'm winning the King of the Ring. I'm coming after you at SummerSlam. And then he does it. And then he goes on, I would probably say, win the world heavyweight championship at SummerSlam. So yeah, that's probably how I'd do it.
I guess I don't know. I guess maybe I just see Brock having more than just 2 matches. But if he only has 2 matches left in him, then I'll go with the way you booked it.
Where else would you have him wrestle?
Well, like you said, I feel like SummerSlam retirement's too early. That's why I feel like they'd be him and Oba would build up a trilogy that might end at SummerSlam. You know,
Mm.
that and then we look at retiring him maybe after that. So maybe at like Money in the Bank or something like that.
He wouldn't retire at a Money in the Bank.
Probably not, but
No, it would be a WrestleMania or a SummerSlam. There's no other show that he would even. Brock is so monumental in like, I don't want to like overstate it because like hardcore wrestling fans love AJ, but I would say in a lot of ways Brock Lesnar is more important to the WWE lineage than AJ Styles is. I don't think there's any way that he would retire at anything less than like a big four,
no,
which would be Rumble, Mania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series.
I mean, maybe you're right then. I mean, I guess I'm just surprised that, I don't know, is he ready to retire? I've heard like mixed things. I've heard mixed things.
Well, this last contract that he signed, he didn't want to sign it. They offered him more money. He said no again. And so they offered him even more money. And he was like, well, I guess if you're going to pay me that much, I'll come back. And so I don't think the dude, I don't want to say he doesn't love it, but his kids are growing up. I think dude's ready to be a grandpa. He likes living on his farm. He has said multiple times if he could just disappear to his farm out of the public eye, he would do it in a heartbeat. So I'm pretty sure he was paid handsomely for this. He's probably going to be inducted to the Hall of Fame next year. He's going to go on a Legends contract, so he's going to get paid till the day he dies by the WWE anyways. Dude's already made probably well over 100 million just in his WWE career. I think, look, man, I think the writing is just, the story is just too perfect. The first 2-night SummerSlam, well, actually I think last year was the first 2-night SummerSlam, but 2-night SummerSlam in your hometown and you're already winding down on the career just makes so much sense. And now with Gunther, like, are we going to push the Gunther and Brock till next year? I don't want to wait till next year. I
No,
want to
that
see
feels
that
like
paid off
too much.
soon.
You're right. You're right. There's really nothing after SummerSlam until WrestleMania, in
I
some
mean, and
ways.
there's Survivor Series, but they always do War Games there, and
Right,
like
right. And the Survivor Series doesn't feel like the right spot.
exactly,
Only
Survivor
reason Money in
Series
the
has kind
Bank,
of
only
been
reason Money in the Bank felt like is because there's usually one good match with the 2 Money in the Bank matches, going on. There's usually one good match, and I can see Gunther not being involved in Money in the Bank,
yeah.
and obviously
I don't think
Brock's not.
Gunther will even be on that PLE at all,
Right,
to be
like you
honest,
said, so I
unless
can
he's
see.
somehow world champion by then.
Right, right. All right, so yeah, but you're probably right. It's probably Oba. I guess I'd be shocked that they just let Oba be that dominant. Brock hasn't had the upper hand once, not once in any
Yeah,
of their dealings.
and here's the thing, dude. This is exactly what Brock Lesnar was like in 2002 when he came in. You know, he was the hot upstart rookie that came in, destroyed everybody, and was world champion in 6 months. Like that's just what Brock was. And if you're making Obafemi Brock Lesnar 2.0, except he's a better wrestler, he's better on the mic. Like, yeah, because at this point, if he's champion by SummerSlam, then that's still 9 months that Oba was on the roster. So it wouldn't even be close to the fastest that a guy has gone up to the
Oh
world
yeah, no,
title
no,
scene.
totally. I mean, has there been? I mean, who was the Brock Lesnar for Brock Lesnar when Brock Lesnar came?
Probably Hulk Hogan because he was back by that point, but
Now, what,
also The
what
Rock.
Triple H? Yeah, I mean, how big?
Triple H was kind of Triple H was dealing with a lot of injuries around that time, so I don't really remember too much. But it was
And
The
I
Rock
also
and
mean like
Hogan for sure.
size wise, like as big as The Rock could possibly be, he's never been Brock Lesnar size.
Well,
You know,
there's nobody. Well, that's the thing though. There's never been anybody like Brock until Oba has come along,
right?
and
That's
so
why.
Brock.
That's why it's. I feel like it's a little different because Oba has Brock to go up against, whereas Brock didn't have anybody of that frame. So
Right, but you're taking into account physical size for a predetermined thing, you know. You should, in my opinion, I think you should compare it more to the impact. And at that time when Brock was coming up, obviously nobody of his size was at the top of the company. It was The Rock, it was Stone Cold, it was Hulk Hogan had come back, and so. I get what you're saying about the size thing, but when you look at the grand scheme of wrestling in terms of athleticism and size, Brock Lesnar and Obafemi are one of ones anyways. There's
yeah,
nobody. So when it comes to the gravity of the impact that that would have, Brock Lesnar from back then would have been The Rock. It would have been Hogan. It would have been those guys who had the big impact because that's been Brock Lesnar's thing his whole career is nobody's like him unless you're doing like the Big Show, which they did. But even the Big Show, he was
so
just like
the Big Show never
seven
had
feet
the
tall,
athleticism.
500 pounds. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So it's like there's never, I think that's the big thing and why it's so important for Oba to win. There's never been anybody like Brock until now. And so now just feels like the perfect time to pass that torch on. And I think, yeah, we're on opposite ends here, so that's cool. But I think that Oba needs it big time, and we didn't really talk about it. We don't have to, but I just want to give credit to him on his promo that he cut on Monday Night Raw to Paul Heyman. I thought that promo was excellent, and goes to show you even more that not only is he the equivalent to next Brock, but I think that Obafemi has potential to be much bigger than Brock Lesnar by the time his career is all said and done. Just based on his athletic ability, his ability in the ring, he's a better wrestler, better on the mic. You know, Brock for as great as he is, has holes in his game, if you want to call it that. Oba kind of feels like he doesn't. Feels like he has no weakness. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I wanted to give him credit on that promo. All right, I knew we were going to talk about Oba and Brock, but I did not expect to talk about them for like 25 minutes. So, um, but hey, look, but I think with Liv and Stephanie, I think you can say Oba and Brock are the hottest thing going into Mania. So makes sense. All right, look, dude, match I'm really excited for. Intercontinental Championship is being defended in a six-pack ladder match. We've got Penta defending against Javon Evans, Dragon Lee, JD McDonough, Rusev, and now recently added as of last week, the greatest mask of all time, Rey Mysterio. Hey, look, man, Ray played everybody. He was making his injury out to be a big deal, so he didn't get retired by Gunther. They made the Seth and Gunther plan, and he came back and he said, "Hey, I'm actually cleared. I'm ready to go. So what you got for me?" Look, I made this comparison to someone online the other day, and they were like blown away by it. But this feels like a Ric Flair getting added into the Money in the Bank match at WrestleMania 22. I think it was 22. It was 22 or 23. But Ric Flair at the time wasn't much older than what Rey Mysterio is now. Now, Rey Mysterio also, or, let's talk about how he can move faster. He's more agile. He's not the same wrestler Ric Flair is. Whatever. But Ray getting added to this match legit got me so hyped. I cannot wait for this match, dude. It's going to be so much fun. I think that anybody in this match can win. I legit don't think that anybody is a favorite. I think a lot of people are going to be upset if Penta's reign ends really soon. But I think you see that with a lot of guys who are defending champions. Like, he had more reigns with this Intercontinental title than I think Dom did for Dom's whole reign. And so Penta's been defending it a lot, and that typically means he's not going to hold it for long. So I don't know who wins yet, but I don't think it's going to be Penta. I tell you what, WWE's been talking about the fact that if Javon Evans wins, he's going to be the youngest Intercontinental Champion in history. Give me Javon Evans. I'm going to pick Javon Evans as my guy. So give me Javon. If not Javon, call me crazy. I want to see JD McDonough win. And I think JD would be really entertaining with that. And I think it would be also a really cool dynamic to go back to the Judgment Day Clubhouse holding the title that Dom lost. So I think that could be pretty interesting. But give me Javon Evans to win this and come out of WrestleMania as your new and youngest ever Intercontinental Champion.
Oh, look, this is going to be a fun match. Like you said, 5 of these 6 guys are flyers, from Penta to Javon to Dragon Lee to JD to Ray, which is why my pick is going to be Rusev.
Hey, man, I don't hate it. I've been wanting to see Rusev with that title for a while now, so I don't hate it.
I mean, he feels like a guy that you could chase as well, right? Like once he gets the title, he feels like a guy that a lot of guys could be chasing and want to take it off of. But no, I'm with you. I feel like almost anybody except for maybe Rey Mysterio, and I feel like Penta loses. He doesn't retain. So I feel like any of the other 4, from Javon to Dragon Lee, really, I'd love to see Dragon Lee have it personally. I'm a big Dragon Lee fan. I feel like, he's kind of been forgotten in the luchador ranks, with the rise of Penta, Ray getting hurt, and everything else. I feel like Dragon Lee's always been kind of in the sidebar. So I'd really love to see Dragon Lee get it because I think Dragon Lee's an incredible talent. I think the JD move would be interesting for, as you said, bringing it back. But for some reason, I can't get past Rusev. I can't. And it's a ladder match as well, which means you're not pinning somebody. You're climbing the ladder to get the title. And I can see Rusev, in those final moments, knocking some dudes off of ladders. And who's he knocking off? 5 flyers who can all take crazy dives off of ladders. Yeah, I don't know. Give me like I've got no idea. Like this one, I really don't. I'm gonna watch this match and just be entertained the whole time. Yeah. But I'm taking Rusev. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was Javon, if it was JD, if it was anybody except for, like I said, Ray and Penta would be the only 2 I would take out of the running. So, but yeah, just give me Rusev for fun.
All right, so you got Rusev, I got Javon Evans. Love it. All right, let's go to the WWE Women's Championship. We've got Jade Cargill defending against Rhea Ripley. Matt, I'll let you take the lead on this one. The big question I had, are we excited for this match?
We're not excited for it, but we're going to enjoy it. All right. This has been the worst buildup in WrestleMania for this WrestleMania out of all the buildups. This one's maybe the worst.
It's up there.
But this should be, I mean, what's Rhea's opening line to her song? This is my brutality, right? This should be every bit as brutal as the Jacob Fatu Drew McIntyre match. There should be blood. There should be, like, Rhea should get her arm broken, something, whatever. This should just be, because these are supposed to be 2 powerhouse women at the top of their game. So, yeah, the lead to this match has sucked. But this match should be good, and I'm excited for that reason, in that I have expectations for this match to be better than we think it is. Where I told you we might be a little underwhelmed by Liv and Stephanie because the build's been so great and everything else. This one, I feel like, might exceed our expectations because the build's been so bad, but this could be such a good match. That said, I don't know, Casey. I mean, I don't know. I feel like Rhea has to win it, but I feel like Jade could fairly easily win it and I'd be just as happy. I don't know, man. I'm taking Rhea just because maybe that line she said before, I don't need the championship needs me. So I feel like that was a very telling line earlier in their feud. Give me Rhea for no good reason, and I think this match is going to be better than people think it is, or especially going into it. What do you think, Casey? I mean, you got Jade retaining. Is there going to be shenanigans? Are we going to see B-Fab and Michin show up? Are we going to see EO show up? I mean, like, what do you got happening in this match, Casey?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody's going to show up, especially if EO's not involved in an actual match. Like, unless we get something announced on Friday, which we could see something along the lines of, like, EO goes out to help Rhea try to fend off Jade and her girls, and the Kabuki Warriors get involved, and maybe that's where we finally get the announcement of Asuka and Io at Mania. But yeah, I mean, if you're not gonna have BFAB and Michin involved in this at all, then like, what was the point in even getting the faction together? And I feel like that's a big talking point for a lot of people, is that this match feels like a must win for both women. It feels like a must win for Rhea Ripley because she's done all there really is to do on Raw, and kind of feels like SmackDown needs her. But also at the same time, like I just said, we developed this stable for Jade Cargill, and it kind of feels like you need a win to solidify that stable for her, or what was the point? Why did we even do it? It feels like it's a waste. So I feel like this is a weird one in the fact of it's a must win for both women. And now a lot of people are throwing out the rumor that Bianca Belair might be showing up after or whatever. I don't know. I'm not putting my stock in anybody returning anymore because it's just been so hard to call, especially with Bianca. But that being said, yeah, I mean, my gut tells me I need to pick Rhea, because when I look at things on the other side of it, what are we going to have? Jade not defending her title for another 100 days? Because that's exactly what happened. And then on top of that, if Jade does win, again, the women's main title feels, or the main title picture on SmackDown feels stale. Like, it feels like we don't have enough women at the top because we have a lot of big women tied up in the tag team division. So if Charlotte's is going to break up, cool. I think you should eventually do Charlotte and Jade Cargill, but that feels like a SummerSlam match. That feels like something that comes down the line. And if that's the case, I don't want to see Jade Cargill holding on to that title until SummerSlam. I feel like it needs something different. But also, man, I got to be honest, I really like Rhea, but I am kind of overseeing her in the world title picture. And I know she just got finished with the tag title picture and all that stuff with Rio, but we knew the second it was over, she was going right back to the world title picture. And here we are. She's here. And I get it. She's one of the greats. I understand it wholeheartedly. It just, I don't know. I guess I'm just not a huge fan of Rio winning here, even though I am going to pick her because I feel like the division needs her more than it needs Jade Cargill at the top. So give me Rio to win it, but I'm sure the match will be good. Like, I'm sure it's going to be a really good match. I'm just not excited at the prospect of either of these women winning, and that's a problem when it's a one-on-one match.
I think one of the points you brought up that I left out is a good one is Bianca Belair. Where is she in terms of health? Where is she in terms of coming back? Because like if they've been kind of slow playing it to surprise us with a return for WrestleMania, then I could have Jade winning because then Jade has a purpose. Like if you bring Bianca back, Jade has a purpose to retain that title and have somebody to go up against. Otherwise, yeah, I don't know what happens. I don't. Rhea doesn't need it. I don't need to see Rhea have it, but I need to see Rhea have it if the only other person in the division is Jade. So, I mean, like I said, it's healthier, dude. We've talked about it. How healthy is Bianca? When's Naomi gonna, have her baby come back? All that stuff. We've kind of been. I mean, it's not Jade's fault. It's WWE's fault for not booking this better. But like I think WWE planned when they put the title on Jade that they were gonna have Bianca. They were gonna have, Naomi back sooner than later, and so far none of that's worked out. And so we're kind of sitting here with this. I hope it's going to be a really good match. But where we go from here afterwards, regardless of which lady, I mean, look, you kind of feel the same way I feel about the Becky Lynch AJ Lee match. No matter who wins, you don't really kind of everybody lost. So
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I mean, I hope this one has a good either SmackDown. It would be great if Bianca came back to SmackDown Friday, even if she's going to come back, just to, because that would add some fire to this, this whole thing. Because even if she comes
Well,
back,
well,
she's coming back anti Jay, but she's not necessarily coming back pro Rhea, So it would add an interesting flair if Bianca just appeared on SmackDown on the Go Home show, you know.
see, I feel like you got to be careful with go home shows, because if Bianca Belair shows up for the first time in over a year on the go home show to SmackDown, I no longer care about that match. I
Really?
now, yeah, because like, why am I
Because then
going to
you
be
feel like
worried
for
about
sure,
either of those two?
but then you feel like what for sure Jade's going to win then or something or what?
Yeah, because
Because I
then it's
mean,
like, What else are we doing? Like, yeah, cool. You just said that Bianca coming back is the only way that you could see Jade winning that match. So if Bianca comes back beforehand, then that tells me right there that Jade is probably going to win. So that way we can start setting that up.
Well, I can still see Rhea winning, and if Bianca comes back, she could cost Jade the match, and then Jade and Bianca have a feud for number one contender to take on Rhea again, yada yada yada. I don't know. I
Yeah.
mean, but regardless, this match is really hindered by two things. A, Jade can't work a mic, and B, there's a lack of women at the top on SmackDown right now.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're just
Well,
kind of
we're also dealing with injuries. Jordan Grace is out, Julia's hurt. And then when Charlotte and Alexa break up and go their separate ways, and even I feel like maybe we might be seeing a situation where if the irresistible forces don't keep their titles, they may amicably split up. It may not be like a turn on each other, but like maybe Nia goes back to the world title picture and Lash can go after the US title. I feel like Lash Legend would be a great women's US champion.
I want to build Lash up a little more. I feel like you're right, but I want to build her up a little more.
Well, I
But
feel
no,
like that's where the mid card titles are. I feel like that's what they're supposed to be for. Let's give her that middle card title to get her more in front of the audiences as a champion and build her up even more. And so maybe in a year and a half or 2 years, we could see Lash going after a world championship. Maybe we get Lash and Rhea Ripley in 2 years at WrestleMania for the world title. That could be something I see. But yeah, we definitely need some more active competition at the top of the roster. But again, Julia, Jordan Grace, Bianca Belair, Naomi, so many women are out, and we've talked about the tag division. So I think the match, like I said, is going to be good. I think we're most excited to see what comes after the fact. So we'll see what happens with that. All right. Another championship. We just talked about the women's United States Championship. Let's talk about the men's U.S. title. We've got Sami Zayn defending against Trick Willie Williams. Now, Matt, I got to be real with you. I don't really think I have a ton to say about this. I think that Trick Williams needs to win. I think that the crowd is kind of, unless we're gonna get like a huge heel turn from Sammy, and that's how he keeps it. It feels like we might be on the verge of a double turn here, where it's like Trick is so over and Sammy is so not. He's got so much heat with the crowd that it's definitely time for Sammy to do something new. I think we should maybe see a double turn in this match where Sammy kind of just like stops caring about what the crowd thinks and goes against them, and the crowd is going crazy for Trick. And in that situation, I just don't see Trick being the guy to chase a title as like a white meat baby face, like I'm coming after you, Sammy. So he's gonna keep some of that persona. I feel like Trick is just so ready to be a champion, man. And I don't feel like Sammy needs long title reigns. And I feel like Sammy should take on this heel persona that we want so badly and go into the world title picture with it. I don't think that Sammy needs to be involved in this US title. Like he spent the whole beginning of the year telling us that his main goal is to be the world heavyweight champion or the world champion just to go take Carmelo Hayes' open challenge and win the US title. Like that's not a babyface thing to do. And so part of me feels like Sammy needs to lose it here and Sammy needs to go into that heel character, and that will be what eventually gets him into the mindset of being a world champion again, because as of right now his mindset is wavered. Being US champion is cool, but been there done that, Sammy. You've been talking about the world championship, and like I don't view it as a downgrade, right? Because I'm a viewer. But in your mind, that US title is not as valuable as that world title. You just told us that months ago. And now you're holding on to that US title. I think that Trick needs to win, and he needs to go on to have like a really great babyface run. And you don't even have to make him like, again, a crazy babyface where he's like, let me hear you. Come on, guys. It's like he's just confident in who he is and who he knows he is. And the crowd loves that. And I think you just keep Trick the way he is now. But I feel like Sammy really needs that heel turn. So I think that's what we need from him. So give me Trick Williams to take the title, new US champion. I'm taking Trick Williams. Tell me that you're picking Sammy.
I'm taking Sami Zayn.
Okay, I want to hear why.
Well, I mean, everything you laid out, I'm with, except I got Sammy taking it in a heel turn. You know, I've got Sammy like finally taking advantage. Like I could see like something happening. We didn't mention Little Yachty, right? Little Yachty going to be a part of this probably in some ways, or whatever. I just see something. you know, Trick just being distracted, something that happens with Sammy and Lil Yachty, and Sammy taking advantage of the distraction. Because that's one thing that we've seen. Like, that's how Sammy beat Carmelo. He finally took advantage of the situation where prior to this, he was asking, Cody and Randy, how do y'all do that? How do you selfishly take advantages of situations? And so I feel like we're going to see the full, it's going to be the most heelish, whatever. I mean, I don't know what the most disgusting heel turn you could have is, but Sammy needs it. Sammy needs like the most despicable heel turn. He needs to, whatever, kick, haluva kick Trick so bad that he's bleeding all over his lemon pepper steppers, something,
Well,
just,
I tell you how I would want to see it happen, Matt. What I would love to see happen is, Sammy had that moment where he took advantage of Mello being in the corner with the ref or whatever and got hit by the haluva kick.
mhm.
I would like to see them do something like that, but maybe like Sammy or like the ref is distracted by Lil Yachty, and so he's talking to Yachty, and Trick is there in the corner. And when Trick is there in the corner with the ref, maybe Sammy is on the other side of the ring and he kind of looks around at the crowd and lets out this little cheesy grin. And maybe he takes the turnbuckle off of the corner right there with the idea that Trick is going to come attack him. He's going to reverse it. Trick's going to go into the turnbuckle. Boom, haluva kick. I would like to see a situation where Trick runs and tries to attack him, stops himself on the ropes before he hits it, and then Sammy is already heading in for the haluva kick. Trick moves out the way, so Sammy crotches himself basically on that exposed turnbuckle, turns around into the trick shot. Trick pins him for the title. So we got the acknowledgement that Sammy did something that he considered evil and devious and dirty, but it backfired. It didn't pay off. He finally did what he needed to do, and it still didn't work. It still didn't work out in his favor. And then we get the big shot of Trick's pyro going off with Sammy down on the mat, all disappointed, and Trick Williams and Lil Yachty are right there in the corner getting their photo op. It just kind of feels like that's what makes the most sense. And then on the other side of it, you can have Sammy kind of like not questioning his motives. Why did he choose that? Especially when it didn't work out in his favor. And then I think, yeah, maybe after that, pretty soon you can have Sammy like attack somebody to really solidify that heel turn. Have Sammy come out wearing all black every time he wrestles now. He's just always dark and brooding and whatever. Maybe you have Kevin Owens come back to like be Sammy's like mouthpiece, to really, because nobody knows Sammy better than Kevin. And if Kevin can't wrestle yet, have Kevin, who is the better mic worker of the two, I think, be the mouthpiece as to why Sammy is the way he is now. What led his best friend to become this way? So I don't know. I could see something on the other side, but I think that we get the acknowledgement of the evil deed by Sammy. It just doesn't work out in his favor. So I think we're going to see something like that.
I want to be more evil than whatever a corner cover. I wanted to be
Yeah.
something.
I mean,
I,
with
and
it
I
being
always
a regular one-on-one match, there's only so much you can do. That's
yeah
my thought.
yeah no I don't disagree. So it's funny. You've got the three new guys winning. You've got Trick, Javon, and Oba winning, and I've got the old guys winning. Brock, Rusev, and Sammy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty funny. Look, man, I think it's just like, I think this is the mania to start really passing some torches. And, a new Intercontinental, a new US, and then a win over Brock Lesnar. Not a lot of ways that you can strap rockets to guys past that. But
No, I'm with you, and like you said, I think Oba's the most likely to win. I think Trick is the second, and I put Javon third. But yeah, I don't know, man. I just want Sammy to go evil. I want Trick to be shut up. All right. I feel like that's really what Sammy wants to do. I feel like Trick has been so much up Sammy's ass about, the gingerbread, whatever, idiot, like no matter what you tell me, it ain't good enough. That's why I really want Sammy just to beat the living hell out of Trick and be yelling, go, this is how you're supposed to be a champion. This is how you're supposed to, told you, because I don't know. I just
well, and
want him to.
we could see a moment like that in the match. I think we're going to see a lot of moments from Sammy that give us the impression that he's finally making that turn. But I don't know, man. I don't see a world that Sammy walks out of that building without the entire arena booing the shit out of him.
But yeah,
which maybe that's what happens, but,
they, no, they will. They'll be booing him as he takes the title back and he's walking out. They'll be booing him the whole damn time
I think
because
what's more likely is we got Trick cheering, and then we're wondering, are they cheering for Trick or are they cheering because Sammy lost? You know, and so then Sammy can even work that in. I know you weren't cheering for me or cheering because I lost. I get it. You like the young new guy, but you guys want me to be champion still, right? And so Sammy just keeps getting his, whatever. But
I
yeah,
do think Sammy needs to move to the main card title scene soon. So even if I have him winning this, I do have him dropping the title then soon after. But like you said, I want to see Dark Sammy. Just like you said, have him come out in all black, have somebody else be his spokesman, whatever. I want to see Dark Sami Zayn.
gotta see it. All right, speaking of dark characters, our next match, we've got the Demon, Finn Balor, going up against Dirty Dominic Mysterio. All right, look, a match that I think the match is going to be pretty good. I think we're pretty excited for the match, and we're ready for this to finally get paid off. But I got to be honest, as much as I like these two guys, my excitement level's just not all the way there yet for this match.
Well, it
I don't
does
know.
the demon diminish it for you? Because I feel like once Finn said the demon's coming, yet again, I feel like we know the result.
Yeah, I mean, it does feel like it lets the result. I mean, I feel like I kind of knew Finn was winning the
Yeah, I
whole
mean, I
time
feel like we kind of knew it.
anyways.
Yeah, right.
But the demon definitely does paint that picture of, okay, it's first time in 3 years we're seeing the demon. There's no way he's going to lose to Dom. So yeah, I think it does tell us that Finn is probably going to win, which should have happened anyways. But look, I think this match is going to be fine. I do have Finn winning because it just makes the most sense. But I don't know, Matt. I don't know. This match feels just pretty straightforward. And again, I'm not like not excited for it, but it kind of feels like it just should have happened a long time ago, and maybe that's why my excitement level isn't quite there. But give me Finn to take the win on this one.
All right, let me ask you two questions. First off, when the demon shows up, do we get a demon run now for a while, or is this like we're gonna get Finn next Raw or whatever? Like he only
The
does the
demon
demon.
doesn't just like come out and talk. The demon never speaks. The
I
demon
get
only
that, but I
shows
mean,
up in like rare instances. So
okay, that's why I didn't know. I didn't know
yeah,
like once the demon shows up if he's gonna be on the Raw like the next couple of weeks until he's not
no,
demon.
you
Okay,
will not see that face paint again probably till like SummerSlam best.
okay,
Yeah, like that's the demon, which is one of the things that why it got so watered down on the main roster was because you only saw it like 2 or 3 times a year max, but he'd never really won with it on the main roster. When he used it in NXT, he won majority of the time, or it was like a knockdown, drag out brawl that like he didn't take any heat for taking a loss as the demon. It was just a really good match. But no, the demon thing, I'm excited to see the demon again. But again, it made it very obvious. I wish they just would have not announced it. I wish they would have just
and
like
just
let
popped
it
up
be a
and yeah.
surprise
I mean,
because that would have given
it
us
was vaguely alluded to enough that it could have been, you know.
right, and
So
that would have given the illusion that maybe it's not so clear that it's Finn. Maybe Dom can win this,
mhm.
but with the demon showing up, I guarantee that means JD McDonough is also going to show up and try to help fend off the demon, but not happening. It's a if I had to put money on any match this weekend of the guaranteed winner, it would be this match that Finn Balor's gonna that he's gonna win. Like if you're betting the house on any match, this probably won't win you the most money, but that's because it's so obvious. Like it's gonna be Finn.
no, 100. I think the only thing here is that we're going to see the further cracks in the Judgment Day. I think we're going to see something happen with Roxanne and maybe Liv and Raquel, you know, outside the ring during this match. I feel like this is, if nothing else, this is when Roxanne splits and goes with Finn. So that's my only real prediction for this outside of yeah, obviously taking the demon.
Yeah, and I would like to see it. I know I'm semantics here. I don't want to see her go with Finn, but I would like to see her at least acknowledge the fact that Finn was the one that brought her in, and she's not just going to side with these people who stab everybody in the back. They always stab each other in the back. That's the Judgment Day way. Like Finn is the only OG member, and he's not even technically an OG member. He's just the oldest member left, and he's not even in the group anymore. It started with Edge, Rhea Ripley, and Damian Priest.
Right.
Those were the OG. And then whenever they kicked Edge out, they brought Finn in, and then it turned into what it is finally today. But I would love to see Roxanne be like, actually, no, I'm not siding with you guys, and I'm not necessarily siding with Finn either. But to think that I would choose you guys over him, like, not happening. And then Roxanne can go off and do her own thing. Roxanne, another woman I really want to see in the women's intercontinental championship title scene. I think she's perfect for that right now. She's so young that she could be in the mid card scene for 6 years and not even be 30 yet. Like
And
it's
you can see her and Bailey, or not her and Bailey, her and Lyra and AJ. You can see all of them having great matches, you know, in that
yeah,
mid card scene. No, she fits perfectly right in there.
yeah, her and Maxine, her and Natty, her and Ivy Nile. I mean, all those women we've talked about in that mid card scene. I just feel like she would fit perfectly right in there. Yeah, in a post WrestleMania world, I would like to see the total dissolution of the Judgment Day, I think, and where we see maybe Raquel and Liv finally going one on one at Backlash if Raquel is the or if Liv is the new champion, and then maybe we see Roxanne on her own thing on her own going after the mid card title. You know, if we get Becky on the other side and whatever, or even if it is AJ, maybe we get Roxanne and AJ on the other side of one of these PLEs. But all that being said, yeah, give me Finn in the most obvious choice of the whole weekend. If they swerve and they give Dom the win over Demon Finn, if I'm Finn Balor, I'm not only protesting that I'm never doing the Demon again, I might be asking for my release. If I'm being 100% real.
If they do that to me and I'm Finn Balor, I better have like a guaranteed year-long storyline of me like coming back and winning like the world heavyweight title or something. Like it's gonna.
Yeah.
I need some major payoff for taking this loss to Dom.
Because
So
this would be the death of the Demon. And if we're gonna kill the
right.
Demon, I'm okay with killing the Demon if that means a world championship reign is on the other side of it.
Exactly,
Like,
something. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So, and you know what would be even great is if by next WrestleMania, it's Seth, and Seth is the World Heavyweight Champion, and we get that repeat of Finn and Seth from whenever Finn won that Universal title from him back
Mhm.
at SummerSlam all those years ago. So there's so much you could do with Finn, but if the Demon loses, the Demon needs to be gone forever. It needs to be dead
Yeah, no,
because that means it has
it's got
lost
no
all
power.
credibility at that
If the
point.
demon can't beat Dom, it can't beat any.
Yeah, because no disrespect to Dom, I think is a future world champion, but like, let's be real here. Dom is not defeating the Demon. So at least not Dom in 2026. Maybe Dom in 2032,
No.
wouldn't be scared of the Demon. But Dom right now, he's a weasel. Why would he just puff his chest out at the Demon? He's not. All right, Matt. After all this time, we're finally to the main event of WrestleMania 42 Night 2. We have the World Heavyweight Champion, CM Punk, defending against Roman Reigns. We've been waiting for 2 months, 2.5 months, really, for this to finally blow up. And after this past Monday Night Raw, we talked about their promo. Truly and realistically, Matt, I don't have a ton to talk about for this match. We've talked a good bit about it over the last few weeks and in this pod, but it is monumental. It's the main event. It's a battle of two goats, CM Punk said he doesn't like Mount Rushmores. He likes the six grandfathers thing. And you could argue that if there were six names, Roman Reigns and CM Punk are probably up there in some sort of combination. And so as monumental as this match is, I don't have a ton to say about it, but I have some questions. Does the bloodline get involved? We kind of stopped talking about the whole Pat McAfee thing. But like, does Pat McAfee get involved in this, especially if Randy does lose and now Pat McAfee is desperate to find his way into the good graces of someone, and all of a sudden Pat McAfee is costing CM Punk and helping Roman Reigns win the championship. So I really don't know what we do here. And I talked to you about this earlier where I said, whoever wins this match, I think Obafemi should be confronting them the very next Monday,
Right.
making his intentions clear. I just slayed the beast and I'm coming for you next. And if the only way I can get to you is because Oba's not a money in the bank guy. And so if the only way I can get to you is becoming the new king of the ring, that's what I'm going to do. And I got to be honest with you, Matt, when I look at it on the other side of WrestleMania, when I look at it on Monday Night Raw, and I think about who I think Obafemi should dethrone, because a lot of it is predicated on that, I'll be honest with you. When I think of who I want Obafemi to dethrone, if we're going balls to the wall with this guy in his rookie year, it needs to be Roman Reigns.
Roman Reigns. Yeah.
And I hate to say that because that means this summer is going to be a championship reign, no pun intended, from Roman Reigns, where he's not there every week. He's not there every other week. He's maybe there once a month. And as much as I don't want that, it's just what makes the most sense for me. And I don't know. I want CM Punk to win. I think CM Punk should win. But if we're going off of the notion that Obafemi is going to dethrone one of these guys at SummerSlam, which I think it should be, I guess Punk could make sense, whatever. That plays into the feeling of his what's the word I'm looking for? His insecurity that he is actually old and that age is catching up. You get squashed by the young kid at SummerSlam because I think that's what it should be. I think that if it's CM Punk and
I was
Oba,
gonna
Oba
say
should
if
win in
it's
like 2 minutes,
it should be a
3 minutes.
squash match if it's Punk. I was
Yeah.
gonna say that. Yeah. Yeah.
And honestly, I don't think he should squash Roman, but I think he should win pretty decisively. A foot on Roman's chest when he pins Roman, I think would literally send this guy to superstardom if he's not already there by SummerSlam. So all that being said, I hate it, man. Give me Roman Reigns to win over CM Punk. And I really think CM Punk should win. I really want CM Punk to win. If you ask me tomorrow, my opinion might change. And I know like I said, I know I'm setting a lot of it on Obafemi's shoulders and future plans. But I also kind of just feel like it's hard to argue that when Roman Reigns is champion, kind of like Brock Lesnar, people tune in when he's actually there. Numbers go up when he's actually there. Even when he's not there, he sells all the merch. And then on top of that, he's going to be going on that movie tour for Street Fighter. Who do you want going? Probably your WWE champion or your World Heavyweight champion. And then think about it. If on the other side of WrestleMania for the movie promos, we've got Roman and Cody both as champions promoting the movie that they're both in, I don't know, man. I hate to say it, but a lot of the signs point to Roman walking out as world heavyweight champion, and it's a championship he's never held. On top of all of that, he's never held the world heavyweight title. As much as I hate it, give me Roman Reigns. I'm going to get your prediction in a second, but I do have a few questions for you. Is do we see the Bloodline get involved, and do we see Pat McAfee get involved, and who is your winner, Matt?
All right. So when we say the bloodline, who are we referring to in this
The
case? Is
Usos, only the Usos.
only the Usos?
Yeah.
No.
No Solo, no Jacob Fatu, no Sami Zayn, no none of that. I mean, OG Bloodline.
What about The Rock?
God, I hope not. But he's not Bloodline technically. He's not technically. When I say the Bloodline, I mean the stable, not like the
Right, right. I
lineage.
just
Yeah.
didn't know where The Rock and I kind of the one
I
thing
feel like he'd
about
be more inclined to interfere in or be involved in the Cody and Randy stuff. But also at the
maybe
same time, if we're setting up Roman and Rock for next year, but also I don't see a reason that The Rock would want that championship. So if that's the case, I could see Roman and Rock having a confrontation after the fact if Roman loses. But I don't see The Rock inserting himself for that title in any way. So it's tricky for me on The Rock.
Roman just kept using the plural we on the last promo. There's a lot of we. It wasn't I, it became we. And I don't think the we are the Usos. I feel like the we, like if we're both getting aspects, if both of our main title matches are getting aspects of TKO interference, then you have Pat McAfee as the TKO interference in the Randy Orton Cody Rhodes match, and then you have The Rock as a TKO interference in the Roman Reigns Cody Rhodes Road Rage CM Punk match. You know, I I'm taking Roman here as well. I don't want to, but I do like the idea of I like what you're booking with the Oba thing. I like Oba going after Roman. I like all of that. So you kind of sold me on that probably more than I don't know who I was taking. This match, I'm so not excited for this match now.
Yeah,
I
well,
was
and
so
Matt, we could realistically see a situation where if The Rock does show up, and let's say he does, and he is like the TKO representative for that side, we could see the end of WrestleMania night 2, where it's Roman Reigns as World Heavyweight Champion, it's Randy Orton as WWE Champion, it's Pat McAfee, and it's Dwayne The Rock Johnson. And hell, you could even bring in Ari Emanuel if you wanted to really do it up. And all of them are standing in the ring, hands high, titles raised, pyro going off. And Michael Cole is questioning, what does this mean for the future of the WWE? And we go black. And then we go to the press conference. So yeah, I could see a situation like that where if Dwayne comes back, it's simply as like the representative. And then maybe you could work that up till next year where Roman does eventually lose that title and Orton loses his title at some point. The Rock is pissed at them for not representing the company well. And then all of a sudden we have Roman versus The Rock at WrestleMania next year, which would be in Saudi, which makes sense. It feels like a big enough match they would do at a Saudi show. Couldn't do it in New Orleans. New Orleans isn't big enough, so they took that away from us. Whatever. I digress. I mean, hey, look, man, McAfee had a match with Gunther last year and held his own, so anything's possible. God, dude, that arena would be so loud with the booze. Oh my god. I kinda love that idea, and it would play into, like, CM Punk wouldn't even have to hear him. He could just see McAfee out there chirping, and it would just piss him off, and he would go out there, and he would probably beat up McAfee. He'd probably lay him out, beat him up, whatever, whatever, and then the second he rolls in the ring, Superman punch, spear, 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 and then Roman pins him, finally takes him out, so yeah, yeah. If you're using the demon to push tickets, you're talking about Dwayne. So yeah, you do hate Punk. So, but I have a feeling that Punk is slowly kind of winning you over, just a little tiny bit. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The lower the ticket prices promo is what a lot of people are calling it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. For a weird old man. Ooh, man, that was yeah. Yeah, yeah. Well, it's just they were just saying a lot of the quiet parts out loud. Like, obviously, we know that Roman has had 11 WrestleMania main events and CM Punk has had one. Those are things we all know, but it was like those are things that you should have said like weeks ago. That where you were like, y'all are just starting to get heated in the rivalry, and before anything happens, you're like, you know what? If I'm being honest, I do hate you for all these reasons, and then you can talk about it, and then you can build on that. But this just felt like amp, 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 and then plateau, and we're just like, okay, yep, same, same, yeah, yeah, yep, right. I was about to say maybe Jade and right. There's not really one at all this whole weekend. Well, let's go over real quick. Let's like make one last rundown of our picks before we get out of here. All right, so Matt, you go first. Tell us your picks, and then I'll go through. Becky, you took Becky. Come on, man. You know it would be Darth Zane. That's so much better. All right, and I've got the Usos and LA Knight over the Vision and Nitro Speed. Give me Jacob Fatu over Drew. Give me Liv over Stephanie. Give me Becky over AJ. Instead of the Valkyries, no, I am picking the Valkyries. Sorry, Bailey and Lyra. I was thinking Charlotte and Alexa, their whole thing. Give me Gunther over Seth. Give me Randy over Cody. Give me Oba over Brock. I've got Javon Evans walking away from that ladder match as the new Intercontinental Champion. Give me Rhea. Give me Trick. Give me Demon Finn Balor. And also, give me Roman Reigns. So most of them we agreed on, but I would say it's not a large majority. I think there was a good few that we disagreed on. So at least some difference there. Yeah. So, all right. Well, cool. I'm super pumped about it. Like I said, I find it hard to believe that I'm going to avoid anything on the internet about night one. So I'll try my best to. Like I said, I might even have it up while we're all kind of just hanging out. But I don't want to be like, it's my birthday and we're watching WrestleMania and just put it on the big TV. So I might just have it on my phone on the side, just paying attention here and there. But if nothing else, I'm going to watch night one and night two on Sunday before night two starts. So it's already prepped. I already told my son Spence, I said, hey, you don't have to go into your room, but you're not watching anything else in the living room. So that is my day to watch nothing but wrestling all day. So Matt, that has been our predictions. Yeah, dude, all in Vegas, all 4 shows in Vegas. So Vegas is gonna be popping. I can't wait for the next 15 years when we maybe get a WrestleMania here in New Orleans again. Because man, I didn't get to hang out too much whenever I went to New Orleans for Mania 34. Because the people we were with, they were like, we're ready to go right now. We're ready to go. Instead of like, you know how it is after a big event, the nightlife is part of the experience. And I had people there that I met from like the indie wrestling scene that were like wanting to hang out and chit chat, and the people were like, "We're ready to go," and I was almost like, "Just leave me here, and I'll get a damn Uber or something back." But I had my wife with me, so I just I was like, whatever, we won't be combative. So but yeah, next time we go to WrestleMania, we got to make a full weekend of it, which is what we're looking to do for Money in the Bank in September. Yep, we're looking at that. We're looking at going to Chris Van Vliet's live show. So anxious to see who his guest is, because when you do the VIP for Insight Live with CVB, you also get to meet the guest. So whoever his guest is, you also get to meet if you have the VIP, whatever. So yeah, so that should be pretty fun, but we'll talk about all that later in the year. But as of right now, it is WrestleMania week, baby. WrestleMania weekend is here. That was our predictions. What did you think about it? Drop it in the comments. Let us know what you thought. Make sure you drop a like. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Turn on the noti bell so you get all the uploads about when we post our videos and stuff. Follow us on all the socials. Matt, do you have anything you'd like to say before we get out of here from this very short episode? Yes, it is. Let's hope it is. Let's hope it is. All right. Well, until next week, we won't see you guys until the other side of WrestleMania. So until next week, this has been TK Wrestling. Happy WrestleMania week, and we'll see you next time.